Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory.
G'day everyone.
Hello everybody, thanks for joining us for King of the Hill on Sunday nights. We're just getting the lobby sorted out. We've currently got 10 on one team, 5 on the other, which is good. But we do need to just get 2 more people into that lobby. It doesn't look like we have a mod right now, but over the next, hopefully, course of this game, that'll queue up and we'll be good to go for a larger lobby. We'll see how that one runs.
Feel free to spam the chat, people. I think I've broken the overlay.
Sure, you have. And for those of you wondering, we're talking about the AllReasonNoLogic chat. That one is that one's the one that Twig will be checking. Got a Dinosis? Dinosius? Thanks for the Prime sub on the main channel. Might say BPL main event, but I'm sure that'll be updated. We don't control the title of the main channel, but we do have the honor of streaming on it. So at some point, I'm sure that will get fixed up. If not, then we'll just have to think of an acronym for King of the Hill that starts with BPL. Does look like we have everyone that we need here to start it up. So I reckon we'll chuck that ready up command in the chat and get this one kicking off.
Lucky we know one of the guys that's not ready up yet. Just let him know.
Couldn't possibly be one of us, could it?
Just Liz. Who would be 34 years old if my mathematics correct.
Oh dear.
Because we got one in the queue, I'm just gonna spec so we can get going.
Okay.
And it does look like Domi3 very on the ball there and has caught this one right in.
All right, let's kick it off.
Do we still have all the Halloween sounds going on at the moment?
I don't know. I suspect we probably do. I know Discord still has their Halloween stuff running.
Well, the real question is, who am I going to hang out with?
Okay, I have not played this lane.
There's not really any easy lanes to fight into here, is there?
Well, maybe Duffy needs to be held back for an extra couple minutes by having a third player against him. Because if Duffy wins their lane,
good idea.
They pretty much win the whole game, even if he's the only person left over.
Mazza going with the greed.
Yeah. What am I doing? Been a while since I've been out here.
It's a good time for you to practice that scaling and attacking off a normal
The
eco.
problem is that going T2 is rough to finish that and get it rolling and have your stuff out.
Yeah. I'm just going to go on boss chrono. Actually, no, they're already boss.
Some of us are already on top of this tweak.
That's good. I'm a little bit more with it than I was last night. We played some more of our Road to 30 games, and it was not a good time. Sometimes you just have one of those nights. Did not get a win.
What are we waiting? Oh yeah, we're going.
Let's do it.
Oh, right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to King of the Hill on Claymore. It's been a while since we've cast one of these because it's usually the game that the three of us try to get into and play, but I've jumped out of this one to give Twig and Tank Tom the highlight for this one. So, what's going on in this particular set of maps? Because it is a little different to every other one. If you look on the triangle, every single team has to contend with one king, and the teams will either be 2 or 3 people. They have to stay within their triangles, the exception being the one mech that's just a teeny tiny bit outside on the left and the right hand side, giving each of the players 10 mechs, giving the total metal available for the peasants as 10 mechs. Don't cross this front line here. This is a no man's land, but as of 10 minutes, you're good to go. You will notice in the lane just a little bit above, we do have a 3-player lane. That is because when there is no expansion of the lobby, there is space for 16 people, and with only 5 kings, that means that there will be one odd slot out. This player does need to make sure that they only help their own triangle, though. A couple of other little things: we have turned air off, and we also do not allow for structures to be used offensively. So do not build them in range of your opponent's circles. Beyond that, I reckon that's basically good to go. Oh yeah, we do no com bombing until 15 minutes because it's very everyone is so close, and getting a com up there will explode very very quickly. It does look like Flo's just expanded the player limit to 150. Looking on the map, we do have some very strong kings in the middle. Twig on the bottom left going into his standard build, getting himself, I believe it's going to be 5 constructors, moving those ones around, build turrets, all of that good stuff. Something to bear in mind, you do have the metal to burn early, which means you can 100% start with those solars. With the plus 45, each one of these is going to be giving close to 30 energy, which is a phenomenally powerful start. No wind variance, straight into everything, and you get the bonus of reclaiming them later. On the other side of the map, Cookie Duffy, one of the strongest kings there's ever been on this map, getting ready to go 1v2 against his opponents. Does look like Tank Tom is on the outside as a peasant. Oh dear, that's going to be a rough one. We normally see him out there as a king, but he does have a good ally in Scav. Scav, quite a nice, strong player. And if the two of them work together one does T1, one does T2, should be quite well off.
Oh,
Oh dear.
It's a good point.
Scav. Scav accidentally putting energy converters on his metal points. That's going to be rough. Tank Tom, I think you might be the player that gets the T2 lab this time around. Can we grab a /pause?
What's wrong, guys? We're giving player tips, are we? Which would be fair
Nope,
enough.
Domi has left his area.
Oh. Can't do that, guys.
Alright, we can unpause that one. All good there, nice and caught, so no worries whatsoever. Now, jumping back into the action, we're seeing a lot of common themes around the map at the moment, both, in fact, 3 of the players currently getting their T2 labs. We've got Small, Duffy, and Grumpiness all grabbing their T2 labs at the moment, using whatever reclaim they need to make it happen. So that involves reclaiming the lab, probably reclaiming the storage. Does it look like the build order for Cookie's Duffy is around the 30-ish wind when they start, but they are continuing to be built while this is happening. For Grumpiness, it is a much lighter with 12 on. This one's, for me, this I feel is a little bit too light, but it has resulted in the earliest of the T2s. And then up the top, we've grabbed what I would say is not a bad number, 19 wins for Small going into the T2. Now, plenty of metal to go straight into that advanced construction bot. That's come from the com. Do want to be careful though and raise that once you have the economy too. But the earlier you can get the metal, the better. So always a good sign. Twig, higher amount of wind. Actually only 35, but scheduled to build. I think that is 42. Nope, with a cancelled sum. It's going to be 37 coming out, or 38. Getting the T2 up now, and then we do have Jalio already up, also low number of wins, 20. I would say that the optimal number these days is looking at about 25. Looking around the map, you can see Cookie's Duffy has gone into... has he reclaimed his T2 constructor? He has! To get the metal in order to build these advanced metal extractors, he's popped a T1 on each one of the points, and then using the build turrets to try to focus, well, was trying to focus one of them, is splitting between the two. Does get you those extractors up just that little bit faster. It means you don't have to reclaim the lab in order to do it, which means you can re-get the metal. Not a bad way of doing it. Might be worth testing out, but these little tips and tricks, very, very nice things to get used to as you play. Every little bit of metal in the early game counts, because once you start scaling with those fusions and those APHIS, if you can buy yourself enough time to get even one more up, your economy will explode. Producing 1,450 metal means you'll be able to power 2 advanced metal converters, 2 advanced energy converters, and those energy converters will be producing 14.5 each. So each one of these is an extra 30 metal per second, effectively, which means they'll pay themselves off in a little over... what's the total cost? A little over 130 seconds. So not a bad trade-off if you can get those. If you can get those with basically 2 minutes to spare, you're going to be further ahead on metal than if you hadn't done it. So at that 10-minute mark. 10-minute mark being critical because that's when everything's going off. Bit of a late set of T2 extractors out of Twig, but is going to have plenty of metal to throw down that fusion. Unfortunately, he's going to be a little bit build power. Oh no, actually he's got a few more over here, so spreading them out will be decent on the build power. Looking at what he's going up against, does look like there is a reasonable amount of pressure that these players will be able to provide. Not even that far behind. Twig is going to be in trouble. Though a lot of the scaling does happen at that 10-minute... does happen between now and that 10-minute mark. Looking around the map, Mazza, who was looking to take that middle position in the map, has ended up over on the top side, going with a wind-heavy strategy, plenty of conversion, and on the other side of the map, does look like does look like potentially Lingeron has managed to lock his lab in a little bit. So this should be a heavy pushing lane. I do like that. The way these wins have been spread out, the base might look chaotic, but it will be very good for defense if any units get into the base. 2 minutes to go, and let's have a quick look at the state of the game. That early bit of extra pressure that Duffy put on himself, reclaiming that T2 constructor, has resulted in the fusion reactors doubling down of those. Remember, you don't need the T2 converters, they're just convenient for space. T1 will be a lot cheaper on metal, and you can scale them as you go. Does look like a bit of a defensive build might be coming out on this end, though plenty of build power going into the T1 vehicle lab. If he's getting a constructor, that means he's going for the T1 the vehicle construction lab, so no dramas there. Jaleo fusion coming up at the moment. Twig fusion already up, and we do have a second fusion coming up from Small. This is the risky time. Small getting it up at this point in the game. Definitely could use that little bit extra build power. With 1 minute to go, getting that lab and units is going to be a little bit rough, but we do see defenses coming down, so should be able to hold nicely regardless. Does it look like the player that is going to be... Actually, I think all players are going to be quite well off this time around. Does look like Jaleo is a little bit T2 starved, but going heavy on those T1 units should be just fine, especially kicking them out at this sort of rate. And the metal is going up as well, which means that there is no risk of burning out. Looking at the bottom of the map, we are seeing some chatter around pushing. Does look like Tank Tom has what he needs. The problem is, will it match up with Scarv? And with 20 seconds to go, quick bandbox across the map. Anywhere that highlights white, you can see is where a lot of the units are. Plenty of defensive units for quite a lot of these players, and a little bit of offense getting ready to go. So we will see some heavy pushing, probably at the top lane as a good start. And there we go, 10 minutes has happened, and it does look like we have one king pushing out at the moment, and plenty of peasants pushing in. Does look like the attacks are going to be mistimed in the top half of the map. That is not what you want, but with plenty of blitzers here, this could be a breakthrough. The blitzers will take plenty of damage, but they are fast, and they do lay down plenty of hurt. Does look like they are well and truly through those defenses, and Small is going to be having a lab go down. That's all the defenses. Small's basically out at this point, unless we get some miracle D-guns, which we can't because the comm is done. That is Small falling at the 10-minute mark. Looking around the map though, not all lost for the Kings. We do see Jaleo's T1 push out is making waves, clearing up one of the peasant bases. Just absolute. Looks like going for the self-D so that they cannot be used for reclaim. Does look like they self-D'd absolutely everything, which kicks them out of the game, and the self-D does not go off, unfortunately. So they are going to be cleaned up. Looking around the map, Twig is out and running about. Those ticks going to be good for spotting vision. Nice number of hounds and a couple of the welders and a fat boy to deal with problems. Tank Tom looking to find a way into the map with those hounds. Unfortunately, ticks are a fantastic counter to those hounds, pushing them back nicely. Does it look like Duffy with his T2 attack slightly after, a minute or two after the starting gun is going to be making a lot of damage here. Ortab is getting some decent D-guns off, but unfortunately the fast movers just staying that little bit out of range, and the Mausers laying fire down is going to be a rough one to deal with. Good D-gun right there. Does look like, oh no, with the comm going down, I reckon that's going to be it for, oh, actually, reinforcements coming from behind. Well sent, Mazza. Well sent, Lingeron. Getting these units into these expensive Mausers going to do a nice bit of effort, and that does save the lane, so any amount of time that can be saved here is going to be absolutely aces. Tank Tom did manage to get his hounds out the back of Twig's base, but good defenses between the spiders, the ticks, and the welders, as well as all of the LLT's built up. Twig has managed to keep it safe, and while that's going on, he's pushing into and winning one of his lanes down the bottom. We do see a very, very hard to stop push out of Grumpiness breaking out into the T2 side of his opponents. With those welders just getting the T2 lab and moving on. Not necessarily a bad call at this stage, because with that T2 lab gone and no builders in... Oh, there is actually a T2 builder. It will still take plenty of time with that limited build power to get things back up and running. Maxi potentially in a good spot for D-guns, but not invisible, which means that those D-guns are not going to land. Those invisible snipers will do a boatload of damage. Does look like this lane has been is essentially going to be cleared. A rattlesnake built for defense, which will help, but with both sides being attacked, this is going to be a problem. Bit of a very busy start for both teams in this one, and we're going to see exactly how that one turns out. Cookies Duffy is going to need a little bit of assistance with that top side pushing into him. If the rest of the players can get their damage done at the same time, it is going to be a rough one. But with a rattlesnake and a gauntlet, will be tough to push in. So safe for now, and the scaling may be the thing which gets him out of danger. Second wave coming out of Jalio, trying to find that damage, but this time there is plenty of T1 to intercept. Does look like they're going with a combined unit strategy, and Domi is getting some T2 up for them as they go through. This lane should be the one that puts the pressure on the most kings, but puts the most pressure on the kings. But with that early T1 aggression out of Jalio, does look like a lot of it has been cleaned up, and that is a metal salvage for the ages. Whoever controls that's going to have a good time. Second push out from Twig at the moment. This time, bit of a pincering the remaining army from Twig on the top side, and then a new one coming down on the bottom side. Snipers with Recluse and Welders. This one's going to be a rough pushing out. Does look like some potential units trying to find some purchase, but Twig has found them, and these ones are only stunners, so if they get into the base, it is not the end of the world. And as long as they're only attacking the one player, it is all good. You are more than welcome to move around the bases to attack from behind with spider units. Just don't attack any of the other triangles you're not engaged with. Does it look like this is going to be Tank Tom getting somewhat taken out? Com, not invisible, plenty of power to make it happen, is taking a fair chunk of damage from that one. Good job dodging the missiles, but unfortunately not going to get that D-gun without that invisibility on, and with hold fire not switched off, the invisibility just will not happen against those ticks, and with them providing vision, the snipers are going to nail that com. Missiles nearly doing it, but it will be the snipers. Oh,
the problem is you can still see the
surviving with just a fraction of health. Does look like they've been found by the ticks though and taken out. Does it look like Duffy's pressure has been relieved by Grumpiness, who's moved his units up after clearing his triangle and making his way over. Unfortunately, the assistance from the top side of the map not quite able to make the difference here. Scaling is important, but units are important too. So it does look like the Kings have the advantage right now, as it is sitting at a 4 versus 6. But those 6 are the 6 are producing approximately 50% less metal, which is going to be quite rough. We have got some fiends that managed to break in the line against Jalio, but unfortunately, the sheer number of beamers as well as the T1 units coming out, not to worry. The interesting thing about Jalio's lane, no scaling done, just plenty of T1 units, and that is a huge amount of pressure on. I reckon this build has been well calculated to basically exactly produce enough off of these labs to consume that metal. Could definitely plonk down 1 or 2 more energy converters, but very nice and efficient way of doing this. Destroyed 1 player, but unfortunately hasn't been able to punch through 2.
He's doing a good job of holding for now, but with that T2 sitting there in front of him, it's going to get real rough pretty soon.
It is
Thankfully, he's got
indeed.
Twig coming to back him up there.
Jalio, if you are listening, I love this heavy T1 push. My biggest recommendation is the moment you send that first wave, eat the labs, go and pop down a APHIS or a fusion or something along those lines, and then do it again once you've got that one down. If you alternate units, buildings, you'll end up with an absolutely amazing amount of economy, as well as very, very similar to pressure to if you just go the units. That'll be my biggest change to this strategy. But I do love the sheer overwhelming amount of blitzers. Blitzers just lay on damage so hard, and they are so quick. Now, for those of you wondering, Cookie is actually allowed to send his spam outside of his lane because he was attacked by the lane above, so he is allowed to engage with the lane above. Just to be clear, the rules about whether he can engage with the next lane over is questionable, but in this case it hasn't mattered, so we don't have to answer that question, and the answer to that question will almost certainly come from whether or not it is relevant to make a ruling on that one. Thankfully, Twig's reinforcements helping Jalio a lot, but with Tigers in the base, with Banishers in the base, oh, the fusion is so close to going
Still
down.
alive.
Just cleaned up. There is one Tiger though. It could still do it. It could not anymore. Nicely
Perfect
done.
timing for those
Nicely done,
reinforcements coming
Twig
through.
and Jalio working together to keep this one alive. There is still threat, but the fusion has been healed up quite nicely. And it does look like all the forces are starting to converge on the top of the map. You can see Grumpiness has decided that scaling is the win condition of the game. Has got a build queue of what looks to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. APHIS down. 13 must be the magic number to make this work, though I do think energy conversion might be the most needed thing, and then going into those tier 3 marauders. But Cookie is going to have a very good time over here. Duffy, sorry, is going to have a very good time over here. Plenty of spam to keep vision and to keep the sharpshooters safe, and then plenty of sharpshooters to lay the damage down. This one's a rough one to beat unless you can out-spam them.
The Kings did a fairly good job of having everything up, ready to go at that 10-minute mark. I thought we might have a chance of making it through, but by the time we arrived, there was the spam, the defenses, and the T2 sitting in Twig's lab.
The thing to bear in mind with the Kings is that if the strategy is perfectly executed, you can have 2 fusions, 2 labs pumping out spam, and a lab pumping out T2 as a King. You usually won't see that from most Kings, but under ideal conditions, that is the potential. That means that if you're going to do that 10-minute attack as the peasants, you have to be overwhelming, either with an absolutely crazy amount of T1 like we saw from that top lane, or with a really nice composition that will let you protect your units as you throw them in and do plenty of siege damage and just prevent the King from building up that critical mass of units. It has definitely been King favored in the last little while in this map, but that also is a bit of an OS problem and a experience problem. This game will normally have myself, Tank Tom, and Twig in it as Kings, and then we do very, very often see players like Duffy, Jalio, Grumpiness, Mazza, we see Clan Newt, players that have a huge wealth of knowledge doing this type of game. So this is a bit of a warm-up and an opportunity for us to play. The balance can be knocked down a little bit, but the harsh reality of this one is too much below 45, and then the Kings go from from what has been a dominant win rate to a 0 win rate because they can't get the fusion up.
Yeah, much below 45, and their fusion's getting up at 9.5 minutes or so, rather than somewhere in 7 or 8, and suddenly you don't have your defenses or your army, and it's a bad time.
Yes. Interesting It is an interesting way that this one plays out because it is operating on a smaller scale. Then it definitely leads to the economy scaling out of control for the kings and not so much for the peasants. So this one is a early aggression for the peasants game, and a survive until you can win for the kings game. Does look like Maz's com has been found. Does manage to get a D gun on the T3 as well. Nicely done. So well played by the kings, particularly well played by the peasants of the top, absolutely crushing Small. And Small is a veteran of these ones, so that is no easy feat. Quick look at the graphs on this one. The interesting one to look at is that energy produced. You can see 3 of those kings just absolutely smashing it, but it's going to be the metal produced that. Oh no, that's metal excess. Metal produced. So you can see all of the kings doing very, very similarly around, very, very similarly at that 5 minute mark, but you can see just how far a few of them accelerate by that 10 minutes. That little bit of metal at the very beginning that you can see, Grumpiness is, sorry, that Duffy is ahead. That's from the early T2 mexes. That's from the reclaiming of his T2 in order to get himself the mexes even earlier. That line just never stops, never stopping.
Did he do the com detonation as well? Does that do a little bit of a bump?
I didn't see the com detonation, but it was a very interesting way of getting that last bit of metal to get the T2 mexes up, which I am definitely going to make use of.
All right, we got 7 kings to step up for King of the Hill on Throne. Anyone that's down there will replace myself, Grumpiness, Duffy, Jolio, and Small if we get 7 down there. Otherwise, we can jump back down.
Mr. Duffy in chat is very, very sad that his reclaim of the T2 tech has been discovered. All of the trade secrets, my friend, we will discover them one by one. For those of you that want to get really good at King of the Hill, want to get really good at actually just games in general, something I would highly recommend is if you see a particularly high OS player like, I don't know, Amir, who's sitting at 83 OS, Duffy 47 OS, Tree Loss at 45, Grumpiness at 40, don't hesitate to have a look at their replays and see what it is that they're doing that's giving them the wins. Because something which I know that Duffy does absolutely incredibly in 8v8s is his T1 to T2 transition. That, watching that, he gets it up with so much efficiency. It's like, it's actually something that I'm trying to learn. It's that moment when you have to go into it, the recognition of reclaim on the front, the ability to get the reclaim on the front, knowing you have enough units to make a difference, to hold until you get the T2 to the front, and then what he does with that T2 at the front. Very, very well done. If you ever want to watch some of his replays,
I've only got 20 peasants at the.
Learn a lot.
I've only got 20 peasants at the moment. If this doesn't jump up, we could do a 4 verse. Or we'll have to maybe.
It's been a
lower.
very long time since we've been able to do a 4 verses on Throne. It's an interesting dynamic because each king gets more metal individually, but their APM is a rough one.
Stretched a bit further than it is when you've got more up there.
Also, we do have too many kings.
Yeah, we're just waiting. If anyone else wants to jump down there, there's going to be Maxi, Mazza, Tank Tom, Orat, Potato locked in, plus 2 more. Thinking with only 24 peasants, we're going to have to rewrite this one.
We need the
last chance
no
for any other
artillery
new
code in there,
kings.
don't we?
Okay, Platinum Blonde. He's asked for a restart PC. All right, hurry up, mate. Hurry up while we set this up.
Oh, come on, that was already there. How many we got there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Got 6. We just need one
6.
more. If anyone else wants to jump down there as a king, it's yours and myself, Grumpiness, and Small will jump out. Oh, we're in the wrong channel, people. I'll drag us down.
That will drop us down.
There we go.
All right. Do you want to stay up here, Twig?
I'm feeling like it's pretty unfair at the moment, so we can
We
move
are only
everyone
on
around.
45s.
Yeah, 50 is what we usually do, 55, 60. But yes, I'm happy to stay up here. We can work together. I'll try and do better than last night playing next year, where we lost 13 OS combined.
Spoilers.
All right, Rosie's jumped there, so it looks like I'm out. We'll give Rosie a bonus.
Okay, you don't need one. I'll let you move yourself around. I reckon with that, we should be pretty well good to go.
It's just very very low amount of peasants, but we can see what it's like. Do you have a
31's
good
not
ones?
too bad. And with the plus 46, it's not going to be crazy scaling in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fusion-ish.
Yep, you're right. All right, Rosie and same guy again as last game. Tank Tom to ready up, and we'll kick it off.
And Nightmare, if you're there, let me know if the YouTube needs a rehosting. I know that us on our channel, we had to update our own code to keep streaming on our YouTube. Something about the UI changes. So if I need a new code, then let me know.
I'm just waiting on that one download, I think. I wonder how far away it is.
Then we will kick it off.
No, that's done. That's good. We're all good to go.
Let's go.
I kill you for fun making use of the new emotes on the AllReasonNoLogic Twitch. Pingo is now starring.
I'm glad we've got those. That's Twig. Twig is the one who is responsible for making that happen. So if you enjoy using them, make sure to give him a good shout out and tell him how bad he is at
Microsoft Paint.
Photoshop. Oh, Microsoft
Yeah,
Paint was it? Okay.
No, you know, all star of editing right now. Currently, the logo. I'm testing out doing some solo streams. And Tank Tom has kindly done the art for the display for those ones.
Hold on. I'm
thumbnail.
gonna see if I can quickly show that one on stream. If you want a bit of a preview, was that one in? Did you post that in TPT,
in TP.
Tom? Excellent, excellent. Let me grab that one if I can.
We were talking about needed something that wasn't going to be potentially copyrighted, so I opened up Paint and got started.
Yeah.
That's how that came about.
All right, just quickly. Don't worry, I will swap. I will swap over. I'm just adding a window capture. There we go. There you go. This is that beautiful artwork, courtesy of Tank Tom. Feast your eyes on this one, ladies and gentlemen. That is the official art of Twig's solo streaming adventure. All right, let's just get rid of that one and swap over the scenes. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit less co-op eco is going to be happening on this one, and it does look like though. Twig, are you in one of these corners?
I'm somewhere.
Are you somewhere? Oh yes, I do see Twig. Twig is going in a interesting position. Does look like it's going to be Cookies Jaleo with small, Team Newt on the Team Newt chronographer, as some of the well-known names leading some of the co-op corners. We'll see how this one runs through. Up in the top of the map, I think this one will be quite a hard one. Games man. G-Man's so awesome. You may want to not be up there.
Is he going to get crispy? Ah, yep, I see.
All right, does look like
Gosh.
he's moved out. Oh, nope, he did not take the context clues. Oh dear. All right. Doesn't look like he's going to be off to a great start. But let's kick this one off, ladies and gentlemen. Does look like Classic may have started himself in the deep red. Unfortunately, he is on Team Blue, so that is going to be a bit of a explosive start for this one. And there it goes.
Oh no.
Interestingly enough, that has created a lava. Oh no, it's not a lava-free zone. It just has flowing lava physics. That's interesting. That's very cool. Anyway, sorry, I'm super distracted by that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to King of the Hill on Throne. 7 kings versus 30 peasants. We've lowered the bonus back to what it used to be. We'll see whether we've overstacked the kings or if all that extra medal positions is going to give the peasants that early game push that they need to try and win this one. Couple of amazing co-op corners getting ready to go. We do have the outside dry sea in a dominant position with a few of our regulars, Twig, Grumpiness, and Duffy, seeing what they can do. Team Newt just above them, getting themselves ready for that amazing co-op eco. The Geo coming down already with multiple sets of build power. That thing's going to be up in no time. And in the middle, they've got their work cut out for them with Mazza, Potato, Maxi, Platinum Blonde, Rosie, Oratab, and AllReasonNoLogic's Tank Tom getting ready to try to hold the hill, maybe push out and win.
We'll definitely push out.
Definitely push out and win. And with the reduced number of players, very, very possible that... oh, sorry. My apologies. It is Bob playing on the right-hand side under the wrong name. Thanks for the correction. Now, what's going on here? It is King of the Hill, 10-minute no-rush timer as denoted by the lava. It will drop at that 10 minutes. No air, a couple of tweaks to a few T2 units so that shields are an effective defense against anything but catapults, and no using structures offensively. That means do not Juno the King's Island, and Kings do not Juno the Peasants' Outer Ring. More than welcome to Juno in between them, though. Just make sure that you give the players an opportunity to get those units out and make a decision with them. Some smart plays coming from Treeloss over here, which you would expect considering that OS 45. sending builders out into the dry sea to construct the economy in a reasonably safe place. And I say reasonably because one of the downsides of this outer area is once the kings get units there, it will be a nice clean sweep around because there usually isn't too much in the way of defenses. Now, looking at what we would expect from these players at the top, we're seeing 3 minute 30 T2 lab coming out of Oratab. Very well done. 3 build power, grabbing the solar collector for that last little bit of metal. Potentially will grab something else, but as long as you're getting that up sort of that 4 or 5 minute mark in a good position. In the middle of the map, Platinum Blonde already has their T2. Question is this the first T2 that is the first T2 constructor, it looks like. It doesn't look like he's going to have to hand it out to everyone because Rosie's gone straight into their own T2 lab. That's going to give them a nice solid metal boost. We do always question whether or not it's worth getting the T2 lab or sharing it from the middle for these players on the ramps. I tend to ask for one and pay the person in the middle for it. But if you can succeed on your own, particularly with something like a com detonation, it can be well worth it. That little bit of economy stimulus can make a big difference. Even just 30 seconds with 2 advanced mexes can make a difference. Looking around the map, around the outside, with the T2 economy going down, we're seeing a couple of T2 constructors around the outside. With any luck, they will share one down outside. That's exactly what they're doing. It does look like Duffy did pay them for that T2 con. So that's going to help outside a lot. They're not going to have to save up the 3,000 metal in order to get that T2 constructor in order to put down those fusions and those APHIS. So that's going to help a lot. Between the different players, though, Twig, Grumpiness, and Duffy, we are seeing somewhere in the realms of 161 wind. That is nothing to scoff about. They are overflowing on energy, though. Definitely need to get a little bit more conversion between the 3 of them, but they will work that one out. Wind is very high at the moment, so that is almost certainly the reason why. Good amount of metal there. If they all combine it, they will be halfway to an APHIS. Oh, sorry, halfway to a fusion. So that's going to help quite a lot. I reckon we're going to see a little bit more wind, and then we'll get that transition into the T2 economy. Should see that rolling well and truly by the 10 minutes. I think the earliest we've seen around the outside was a 5.5 minute fusion, but that also had a lot more commanders working towards it. Units trying to walk across the lava. G-Man, awesome. I don't think you're understanding the overall aspect of the game. Oh no, they're actually not his units, never mind. Does it look like the lava will drop at 10 minutes.
Sure, these go up.
So just letting them know in game, but that is still 3.5 minutes away, so no worries there. And we'll see exactly what we get done in that time. Around the top, we do see some T1 units getting ready to punch through, but I reckon there'll be plenty of defenses up and ready. With Mazza defending, we're already getting those sneaky Pete's down, some walls, probably some more things on there, and a delicious fusion. I do like this. One thing to bear in mind, grabbing the eco before you grab those, before you grab any of the frontline defenses. Every second that you can put into the fusion first makes a big difference. Looking around the map, seeing a good amount of co-oping over here. Jalio and Small very experienced with this one, getting their fusion down now. A little bit later than a couple of the other co-op corners, but they are also a actually they are a 3-person, so fraction on the late side, but they are going to have a very strong economy, and it does look like they've been handing out as well. I can see that these other players getting their T2 mexes. Top corner, lots of separate players. These guys are definitely going to have a bit of a struggle, and at the very top in the chrono corner, we can see doesn't look like a co-op eco, but definitely a strong T2 into fusion. A little bit low on the build power, but is... Oh no, I'd be sleepy here as well, so yes, there is the co-op there. little bit behind where we would expect them to, where we normally expect them to be at this stage of the game. But again, we're 32 players or so instead of the standard 50 plus. Bit of a quiet night tonight. If anyone knows if there's public holidays somewhere in the world, do let me know in chat. Twig, how are you feeling about your positioning?
I thought we were co-oping, but it's gone a little bit slow with an old man walking all the way from the new corner.
And what about you, Tank Tom? Having a look up in your corner, double
I'm
fusion, plenty
not
of
too
build
bad.
power. You're just starting to get those defenses and units out. Looks like you've got a powerhouse economy to be punching out with those 4 mechs is doing you good.
Some of these up too.
You've received new units.
We should hopefully see what's coming. Repeat, that's always useful.
We'll see if I need that one. I'm interested to know what G-Man Awesome is planning over here. 6 build turrets right on the edge of the lava. Defensive bastion, maybe? We will see.
Which way are we going to push?
Lava level is dropping.
And there we go. Sorry, there is the lava dropping. I'll pay attention in at that spot. Alrighty then, quick bandbox across the map. Heavy concentration of units in at the top right. That does look like they're being defensive though, and they're going to be hit very hard by Tank Tom's fiends, though maybe not. Does look like Tank Tom is going to pull those back, and they're not Tank Tom's. Maz's fiends does look like they're going to be defensive. Does look like we're going to be seeing Maxi having to take quite a hit just here. The Wardens are not actually that strong as a defensive structure. They're quite expensive. Their range is good, but in this situation, they are going to fall quite quickly to those Recluse. So, does look like they're going to punch a hole in there. A Persecutor going to do a good amount of damage here, but unfortunately the angle just is not that good. Tank Tom down into the enemy eco. Horsem has done a great job of getting T2 up with that advanced Geo, but unfortunately Tank Tom's fiends punching in nicely over here, getting it back into the T2 lab behind of Big Johnson. Good conversion hit. Does look like Tank Tom's going to be making his way all the way around and finding potentially the conversion there. Nope, that is not being controlled at the moment. Big spider push coming out of Oratab. Some potential comm damage going to be coming in here. Does look like without the ability to cloak though, and limited degunning is going to be available. This is one of the downsides of that co-op eco. Did not have the power to defend this one. Jalio getting into a really good position though. First degun, a little bit of a miss. Big hits with the rockets. Most of those spiders taken out. Small potentially grabbing the last few. Grabbing the last few. That was an expensive attack, and it was cleaned up by comms. Comms are some of the best units for the peasants defending early. And it does look like a little bit of a stalemate right here. Some good positioning coming out of IB Sleepy here with those early Starlights. They're going to do a great job against the lack of defenses here. Does look like a Pulsar's coming up. I don't mind the Pulsar, but I'd actually go with a Rattlesnake in this exact situation. But those Starlights are going to help. Are going to be up to that middle player to stop building the eco and to run themselves into those defenses. A little bit of spam will clear up those Starlights, but that is going to be necessary. Tank Tom, big attack coming in the top right hand side. As long as he's ecoing in the background behind this one, which he is, this is going to be a devastating attack. Fiends giving it vision and running up the sides. Then we have the Sheldons. The Sheldons getting over the range damage. Good reactions there. Fiends really good at cleaning up those Sprinters. Sprinters were a good call, but the damage is being done currently by those Sheldons. Too many Fiends for Tank Tom to clean up here, but as long as he keeps moving them away, this should... The Sheldons should mostly survive this. Fiends are good at chasing down the Sheldons, but you need to spread them wide and surround them a little bit. Does look like Tank Tom, though, is taking the big hits right here. Not too much damage yet, but that will keep happening over time. Yep. Can you give it... You got to pause, Tom. Enter slash pause. Someone? Anyone? I can't do it. I'm specking. There we go.
Yeah. That hit my conversion.
Which one's Tom? Pink?
No, blue. The one north of north.
Yep.
The rattlesnake.
Has that been delayed?
They have rattlesnakes, but they can't really shoot. Well, they can shoot up to about here, but they can't hit that top section.
Alrighty then.
Alright, resuming.
Yep.
It's not
so we are back to it.
Looks like
thankfully, Tank Tom only losing a little bit of conversion, but because of the spread out nature of the base, that did work out quite nicely. Unfortunately for the team, though, Ivy Sleepy is pushing in very, very strongly. It does look like some big hits in the middle of the map. That Platinum Blonde's T3 coming out that little bit too late to try and deal with it. Again, it is spam that deals with what is currently here at the moment. Those Starlights doing devastating amounts of damage. Tank Tom getting units out to try to clear this one, but unfortunately not enough build power to be pumping those ones out super quickly. Does look like this will be a hold at the end of the day, but that is one of the Kings down, and if pressure just keeps getting put on,
I don't know if this is a hold.
Big problem.
Tom's not reacting, or it's not reacting.
I'm trying. I'd lost a good chunk of my
build power
stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Jamie has to react to this, or else I'm not going to get to use my big eco to an advantage.
You're not in yet.
Yeah, as I said, it is being closed up, but a good amount of damage being done for the 15-minute mark. The Sprinters coming in, doing it nice, holding nicely. The Sheldon's now putting the damage down. Does look like this one is going to be a hold, but that does set the Kings back. Tom's offensive momentum has been shut down pretty effectively. Cookie Duffy is right on the edge of the Kings' bases at the moment. Is going to be holding their economy coming down nicely for Twig around the outside. If the Kings don't start making some offensive moves very, very soon, I reckon the Peasants have got this one. Uh-oh. One little termite making its way into the base. The pop-up having trouble seeing it around the mountain. Unfortunately for the termite, does not stay in the prime position, and we do have T3 out for the Kings. This is the time to push. This is the time to do the damage that you can, and it almost certainly has to be out of this top left-hand side. Demon's phenomenally strong for pushing out, but with the Starlights and the Bulls here, there is some potential to take it on. Bottom side of the map is doing a good amount of damage. Potatoes com 2%, but it manages to survive. Got to keep pressure on those ones. Kings have been held in the middle of the map, which is not where you want to be.
Those Starlights need a fall, or else the Kings have got big problems.
Does look like some of them are going to fall, but the next shot from one of them, there we go. The Demon has been taken out. Unfortunately, just not enough economy to go large amounts of T3 out of the middle yet. Triple Aphis is good, but not enough conversion. Currently producing 18k energy, but only utilizing 7,000 to 8,000. So at least another 8 of these. Actually, be another 10 of these advanced energy converters needs to go down ASAP. Big hit in the middle has done a huge amount of damage to the pushing power. Oh no! Maxi's got a termite, has been running down into the base. Good amount of wind detonation, but Twig cleans it up with a D-gun. Almost. These areas around the map are usually quite undefended.
Has died.
So getting units out there can be a very big deal. Lots of metal to reclaim if the team needs it. And it does look like the Kings have stabilized again, but stabilized is not the win condition. Pressure is the win condition here. And we will need to see some more lanes doing pushing, because at the moment the Peasants doing a great job of keeping pressure on. All 3 lanes have tick spam running at them or equivalent. They have some better units, ranged units, that are firing up onto the positions or in position to take out anything that comes out of the map. Tank Tom is trying to push out, but with the units streaming out in a big long line, they are not going to get the damage done that they need to. It does look like, though, the top of the map is falling to pressure. They invested everything that they had into those Starlights, into those early T2 units, and now the Demons are doing a great job of pushing them back. There is a Tick Swarm trying to make it into the base, but the Demons, the Fiends, and all of the Grunts coming out assisting are doing a great job of pushing them back. And now that the Swarm has been gone, it is just Tick Spam, which will be cleaned up by the remaining defenses. These units starting to break their way in. The Demons getting targeted down by comms, by Scorpion turrets. There is still plenty of damage to be done here, but unfortunately they're on a command to fire in random position. Whoa, what happened there? Anyway, Com taken out, was not able to get the D-guns on the Demons, and the Demons are in the base, but it is the Grunts that are doing a lot of the damage. Hopefully we will see the Kings starting to make their way around the map and start to take some ground, because they are beginning to receive the Vanguard fire from around the outside, which is when the game really takes off. And it becomes incredibly hard for the Kings to deal with. But the offensive power is here, the spending is here, and the density that we normally see for the Peasants just is not available right now, which means that the huge amounts of D-guns and players that can just go into spam is restricted. Bottom side of the map doing a good job of trying to break up that ramp. The Starlights, again, absolute MVPs along with the Snipers, and the Spam giving good vision, but those have mostly been taken out at this stage. We're going to have to see some pretty strong switching on of the ecos around the outside of the map if we want to see the Kings, if we want to see a reversal of fortunes, because the Kings have just taken out one of their first major co-op corners. Chronographer, unfortunately, being taken out by the overwhelming power of the Demons and the Spam, and now it is redirecting and moving its way around the map. Platinum Blonde doing a good job of getting that eco up and using it. It was nearly too late, but the team did manage to hold on and survive. So these units should be able to keep pushing around. Horsem is going to be the next potential victim. The question is, can he invis and can he get those D-guns out? D-guns, 1 D-gun good, 2 D-guns very good, but 2 Demons still remain for the push, and a third one coming down the ramp. So this will be a big problem, because unfortunately for a lot of these players here, still putting money into the eco, that is something that you just have to stop. You have to funnel as much as you can into those units. The sort of thing that you need right now is something to kill the spam, and then snipers to concentrate down the demons, or pulsars, something along those lines. These large number of fiends are going to try to get in and do damage, but fiends versus demons, as you can see, is not a favorable trade. Control D'ing to prevent the reclaim there, but unfortunately that geo spot, big enough explosion to take out a lot of the build power from the back of the map. Again, Control D'ing to prevent the reclaim, though reclaim isn't the biggest fight in this map. Over here, I think that might have been some Control D'ing over here. I'm not sure what happened there exactly. Catapult moving its way back to defensive lines to try and hold this. There's not an insurmountable amount of stuff to deal with, but it is certainly going to be quite a struggle, especially with Bob making their, it was Bob, wasn't it? Making their way around the middle of the map. So the King's doing a good job of pushing out. Unfortunately, even though the Peasants have done a great job of getting the pressure on and getting up in there, they didn't quite manage to clutch the victory at that 15-minute point, and now the Kings are scaling quite well. Economy's still in favor of the Peasants, despite the fact that half the map is falling. We will see whether the outside of the map can come online in time and with enough units to do the damage needed. And it does look like the sniper wars are just continuing in the middle of the map. It is a series of rattlesnakes defending, with a handful of vanguards on the high ground fighting against all of the vanguards on the low ground. The spam, though, is here now to push all of these vanguards back. So it does look like the Kings are doing a great job of cleaning everything up. Tank Toms supporting units doing a great job of keeping a lot of that T3 alive, keeping a lot of the vision lanes nice and open, and all of the T3 is most certainly making its way around the map. Comms and Razorback's going to be the main line of defense. Some ticks coming in for vision. Will it be enough? That is the question. Twig doing a good amount of Vanguard firing, but the shots just not landing just yet, and they will take quite a while to burn down those demons. Does look like there's some potential for good D-guns here. Team Newt very, very strong on the D-gun front, and it does look like massive D-guns right there. 6 demons taken out in a flash. Unfortunately, both comms do go down to the two survivors. Couple of snipers here going to be doing a good amount of damage, keeping the demons back, but with just what it feels like an endless stream coming down, I do think that there's going to be enough fiery death to break through, which there is. The snipers have been hit and taken down. The Geo has been taken down, and the fusions are about to be taken down as well. One potentially hero comm coming in. Question is, will the D-guns hit? 1 down, 2 down. Oh, only 2 down, but 2 left on very low health, and the spam is in. So unfortunately for Team Newt, they have been neutered. And it does look like the Kings have swung their way into an advantageous position. It is still fractionally in the lead metal-wise for the Peasants, but army-wise, it is 100% in favor of the Kings. They have put all their money into units, no more scaling, and it does seem to be working out for them. Twig is doing a great job of defending down here, but unfortunately the sort of units that are headed his way are very numerous and not very susceptible to those vanguards. It is going to be very rough for this corner, but they do have the ability to produce enough to keep running. The Razorbacks doing a great job of cutting off the supply lines. Bottom left side, very, very strong as far as economy goes, but unfortunately the Pulsar defense is falling to 2 Vanguard shots because of their positioning next to the advanced energy converters, and now there is very little to stop the push of Razorbacks from coming in. The comms doing a fantastic job of both of them go down, the build power goes down, and the fusions are in range. It does look like this corner is going to be taken out with a nice explosion right there. Well done from the Kings for this one. It did look like it was going to be a very, very rough one, but without the T3 sieging that we've seen in these games recently, the number of players may have just been that little bit overwhelming. Though in the early part of the game, the Peasants did really have a big shot at winning this one.
That one.
One thing which is which is very much so still worth talking about. The King's economy is concentrated in these wings and in the middle of the map. It is not a ridiculous thing for a sneaky play to change the face of the game even at this stage. Yes, there's a lot of army on the field to clean up, but if everything stops producing, the T3 will be taken out, and without their T1 support. Things like getting the right catapult shot in, getting spiders up a wall somewhere, managing to use an EMP in the right place, it is still very possible to break in and do damage to the Kings. But that being said, it is very much so in the King's favor right now. The strongest peasants have fallen. And the peasants that are still up are going to be producing units in 1s and 2s, and until they can really mass, it is going to be quite hard for them to break through, especially when they're fighting similar numbers: 1 Titan, 4 Razorbacks, 4 Razorbacks. It is going to be quite a rough fight, especially, and because they have a lot of angles to attack from as well, and the APM advantage is now in favor of the Kings. Razorbacks are doing a good job of keeping this area alive. Twig doing a great job with these vanguards, 116 kills combined so far. Trying to build up a Thor to try and defend this one, but it does look like this is going to be quite a rough spot. However, if they can get to the ramp, they're only contending with 9 Twin Guards and a single Scorpion. So getting to the ramp is going to be a potential win condition. On the other side, 4 Beamers, 2 Scorpions, and at the top of the map you have 1 Pulsar, 1 Bulwark, and 2 Beamers. So there is still plenty of potential for walking in, but unfortunately the mass demons just absolutely dealing the damage they need to. Demons super strong in King of the Hill. And it does look like they've decided to go for the March. Twig's comm, not invisible. It is now. Is getting into a good position. 1 D-gun, 2 D-guns. Unfortunately, only 2 demons taken out, and the rest are in at the base, taking a good bit of damage from the backup pulsars. This area will hold for a little while, but unfortunately the economy has swung into the favor of the Kings. The top left-hand side is being taken out by Sheldons. The bottom left-hand side is being taken out by Razorbacks. There is still plenty of defense happening here, but unfortunately a whole bunch of these build turrets are going into APHIS production when the player is approximately equal on energy and conversion. This needs to be into units if this player wants to live, because the moment the units up above start changing directions, they're going to be having to deal with vanguards, and with no shields out, there is a very good chance that this will be easy pickings.
Set those waypoints.
It does look like the next big wave of attack is getting ready for the next one. Let's have a quick look at what that message said, if I can. It's going to take a while. We could definitely look at the overall income multiplier, but I think the biggest difference that we had here was that we still had the 7 kings, even with the lower bonus. Having the 7 kings, I think, might have just been too much APM for them to deal with the lesser number of players.
Hold it.
You guys did get relatively close.
Yeah, that top section did hit.
A little, yeah, a little
up,
bit more pressure in the bottom
you were
left
at the top
or
of
the top
ramp.
left. And the game would have swung the other way, but once you got past the sort of 18-19 minute mark, it was very, very hard for the peasants.
Yeah, and that's often the way. Once the swing happens and there's a bunch of peasants start dying, then it gets much, much harder to continue that push.
Unless you're someone like Chrono that sneaks a whole bunch of units up at the 11th hour and destroys Tank Tom. Was it your base, Tom? Someone's base, where we just couldn't identify how the base got destroyed.
Yeah,
that was very
mine.
nicely
It
done.
just went pop, and it was like,
It just
well,
went pop.
I guess I'm done.
Yes. The bottom left and the bottom right still holding reasonably strong. The top side has fallen, so those forces will be coming down, and it does look like the proper siege units are now being constructed. We have a very large number of catapults making their way down to try to end this match, as well as an insane amount of spam. And it does look like it is going to be the backside that gets gutted out. Grumpiness is trying to defend with those ticks, but ticks versus grunts is most certainly grunt favored. There is also a high ground Juggernaut doing a nice bit of damage, but the huge number of pulsars here, they're absolutely great against defending the T3, but against all of this spam, the beams do not go off very often. So while they're taking up big chunks, it is not enough. Does look like a self-D potentially there. And a nicely played from the bottom right corner. They managed to get a huge amount of eco going. But unfortunately for them, the rest of the map did not survive long enough for it to matter. Bottom left side of the map is doing their best to hold, but with very little pressure coming down on them, they're about to feel the wrath of the entire map. Twig trying to keep his 213 kill set of 7 Vanguards alive. Actually, I think it's just a set of 4 Vanguards alive now. But with the spam coming up from behind, from the sides, and the demons from the top, this is going to be all she wrote for this bottom right-hand side. Demons on Vanguards, not the typical sort of fight that you see. It actually takes the demons a while to kill the Vanguards. I always forget that they're slightly tanky. That is GG out of the peasants team. Nicely played, Kings. Let's see how big the lobby is for the next one.
Yeah.
We got close.
You can actually see how just how good the eco was for a couple of the peasants. 1, 2, 3 kings below a few of the peasant lines, which is crazy. Oh, sorry, I'll just quickly do damage done before we... Damage done, you can see very, very king dominant. Once that damage started rolling, it really started rolling. Alrighty, let's look at the state of the lobby, and then we'll... Oh, bigger lobby. 40 players in at the queue, if not more.
Got a rotation
So-
of kings. Feel free to jump down there if the team's not locked. Anyone that wants to try out that king position, jump on down. Unless you've never played King of the Hill before, or bar. Then maybe try peasants first.
It's been a while since we've had many king wins on that map, isn't it?
I think it has been a very long time since we've had a Throne Kings win.
Yeah.
I will be back in just a second.
You're putting everyone on 0 before we know who they're going to be. I reckon the team is locked.
No, you should be able to. The reason I took his bonus off was because he was in the peasant side.
Jump on down, people. Let us know if it's locked. There we go, it is open.
I feel like that bonus was probably about where it needed to be.
Yeah, that was with 30 kings, and classic disappeared and another king as well. Peasant disappeared, so it was 30 versus 7. Extra 10.
That means we're probably looking at 50s then, isn't it?
Yeah, extra 10 peasants. Usually your ratio is relatively just add on however many peasants there are. That's the bonus you get.
Pretty close to it.
Yeah, plus a little. So we'll go Duffy, Grumpiness, Twig. I'll put myself 50. Actually, I won't mess with what you're setting up.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're looking for 7.
Classic
50 as well.
was
Yep,
Classic
I'm just
wasn't
on
there.
him now. We have Rosie and Platinum end up.
Make sure no one else wants to jump down. Up to 50 peasants now.
Yeah, it's starting to grow. Looking for that bonus up there, but it's gone.
Just checking no one else wants to go king, otherwise, there we go, Yanami down there. Maybe leave the bonus at 50 rather than bumping it with the OS that's there. And I kill you for fun. That's just 7.
Yeah, I'm going to start moving these guys up.
I'll put the bonuses on these two.
Looks like we've got one too many.
All right, just double checking. That last player could have stayed down.
I think Platinum and Bob are playing together. That's why they both jumped.
Ah, okay, got it. Makes sense. If anyone else wants to jump down to king, come and join.
Righty. I'm going to pump you guys
Give
to
it
60.
Give it to Jay Frost because Maxi's been a king before.
Yeah, Max was in the last one. I'm assuming we're going to end up with a couple more by the time we get to starting.
Yeah, fair. I'll start at the top.
This is at the point where it starts to get rather spicy with the T3 shelling at 10 minutes.
I was surprised how easy it was to eco up quite quickly around the outside of the last one. Just that wind scaling. Okay.
You can outscale the first fusion, I believe. Who do we have?
Chrono's just working on a couple of things.
Yeah, looking at these splitted teams, it might be a 55.
Unless we get 60 players. What we'll do, I'm going to jump out the room for a couple of seconds. By the time I'm back, if there's not 60, drop them down and we'll get started.
Yeah. Thank you for that. There's a bunch of players that have numbers at the end of their names, which makes it rather interesting for trying to. Check all of these are good, which they look to be, which is nice. I'm going to go through and adjust these just because we're not growing at the moment, and then we'll get going. The main reason I'm dropping these back is I see lots of firepower in the middle. We're not quite the balancing them out around the outside. Once that's done, we should be able to pretty much.
We've had some people jump.
Yes, we have. Minus of 0. I was just in the process of dropping the 60s to 55s. because you got a lot of
Oh.
firepower in that middle, but not necessarily
I
going for
mean,
60s now.
you got lots of people in their 40s on the outside. 60
Hmm.
players, 60 bonus.
All right.
And then we'll kick it off. We got Prey back.
Not yet, but that's all right. We'll be able to get going and go from there.
Okay, let's do this.
Once again.
We'll drop the rules in for once, just in case people don't know them.
I believe we've got a welcome message which should have all of those as well.
Nice. I forgot you're good at setting these up. I just sit here and mumble.
Chronographer has been helping in the background as well, which is nice. No one's waiting.
I think chronographers are okay. Might just put them in the spec.
This one. Well, get everyone to ready up, shall we? I do not see them in game.
Nice.
Okay.
I think I'm one of the lowest OS kings on this one. Might take a spot around
Yeah, you
the
guys
outside.
have got quite a bit of firepower up there.
So just like the last game, if we survive that first onslaught, I reckon we got this.
Yeah,
And
peasant
what-
favored for the first push, and then you have to make sure you get out and
Is that
kill bases.
yeah, it's that first T3 phase, because if you pork up too much and eco too much, it's a little bit tricky to get out there. You guys pushed it really well at the right time.
We are seeing the usual.
Amazing. People just wanting to not take a nice hot bath, hey?
Oh, no, not that. A couple of people tried to start in the middle, but looks like we should be good now. You can see some of the economies already getting set up.
Nasty, nasty. Just wondering, Cortex or Armada? I like Armada better for the T2 with the Starlights, Jags, but then Cortex T3 for sure.
Hey, Bluey, I'm not going to try and pronounce the rest of your name, so I don't completely and utterly butcher it. But yes, anyone can join these King of the Hill games. They're an open lobby. If you just jump on in, we ask that anyone who's jumping into the Kings team has either been involved in a few of these before or done some practice and knows what they're up to. But for around the outside with the peasants, anyone's more than welcome to jump in with those. And we run
Yeah.
these pretty much this time every week.
Prey doesn't jump back. You might want to just jump over to my stream until he's back.
That's right. It's got a view of the entire map. So we should be able to see what's going on. It'll just be very static. All right. It looks like you can probably get started when you're ready. Oh, just the last 10 seconds anyway.
Battle started.
Good day and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to King of the Hill on Throne. Big Newt to Clan Newt in the middle of the map, taking on a large challenge. We do have 61 peasants against 7 kings with only a plus 60 bonus, but the skill is high for the kings, so we'll see exactly how they go. Looks like we're going to have some pretty stacked co-op corners, a pretty stacked deep desert, and looks like we've got Tank Tom in the casting booth with me and Twig in game. Thanks for joining us. For those of you wondering, this is King of the Hill, where we give a 10-minute no-rush timer, denoted by that lava in the middle. We turn off air, we do a couple of tweaks to T2 units to remove those pesky early missiles, and we do not allow for the use of structures offensively. So that means things like persecutors, Junos, that sort of thing. Feel free to have them ranging and firing within your own sector of the map, but keep it out of your opponents. So that means if you're a king, don't build a rattlesnake right on the edge, build it a bit further back so that it can do what it needs to do, but not affect that middle ring and outer ring that the peasants are going on. And if you're a peasant, feel free to build those defenses, but make sure they're far enough back that you have absolutely no risk of firing a random shell up onto the base. It can ruin the game because that's just how tight the ecos get up on there. If you're in the Peasants team, strategies to win this one, grab these lovely co-op corners right over here, work together, it's much better. Get yourself that early T2 eco. As you can see, a T2 Geo coming down already at 1 minute 44 for Small's corner here. Experienced players and all working together. You don't need too much when you have that much metal available to you. If you're up in the King's position, make sure that you're working together. Middle player, send out those T2 constructors to the players around the outside if they need them, but make sure you're getting that eco up nice and hard. If you're in the defensive ramp position, send so much metal to the middle, he doesn't know what to do with it. And if you're on those wings, make sure you build that eco around about here. You do not want it to be close to the edge, because this is where the spiders come from. Because yes, spiders are one of the biggest fears in this game in the first 10, at the 10-minute mark. Lava does recede at 10 minutes, and yeah, Tank Tom, you were just in the middle, and you felt the wrath of a persecutor. You also definitely delivered the wrath by frontlining for T3. What do you reckon, with a 60 bonus and 60 players around the outside? How do you reckon the Kings are going to stack up?
I think they've probably got a reasonable chance. It all depends on whether they can survive that first couple of minutes, and then whether they've got the ability to push out and find those weak points. If you can get out, because you can guarantee the peasants won't have everything defended, and even if they do, it'll be maybe a couple of LOTs, a few units here and there.
Defended.
Yeah,
is the key.
Enough that if you have enough and just charge, you'll make it through. I think that's the big thing with these games is that commitment. Build up enough of a force that you can commit to pushing. You know your units are going to die. Make sure they can get to something where they can deal some real damage to that economy. Armies, they'll be there. They'll come back again. If you can kill the economy, you'll stop the unit production. And we're seeing a lot of dead comms in the middle. We'll see how
Down
this
to
plays out.
5 comms in the middle, and 58 around the outside. I'm surprised we're not seeing more around the outside, to Trailer Park Girls. Anyway,
Right on
but
cue.
we are seeing plenty of build power. A fusion going to come down at about 4. Looks like this one's going to come down
That's
at
going to
about
be
4:15.
completed. What's the
so-
fastest T2 we've seen before? Because this
Oh
was...
no, we've seen it. We've seen a 5-minute APHIS before
Yeah.
around the outside. The
T2 lab
fastest
was-
T2, we have seen a sub 1 minute 10-second T2.
That is something that I don't know how to do. That
That
is utterly terrifying and makes a lot of sense as to why it's such a struggle in that middle section for these ones.
Yes, it does. But this is going to be a very strong lane as we're getting that second fusion up, and it looks like they're going to have the metal to do it just outright. So Small's got this co-op corner down nicely. With Small's opponents being Classic and J-Frost, this one is going to be an absolute ripper.
I was grateful in that last game to not be on that bottom section because you just get absolutely hammered.
It certainly is the theme. Every so often we get a very strong set of corners up here in the top left, but very rarely do we get strong corners in the top right. I feel like there's some sort of science behind that.
I think it's because of the concentration of those geos and just the proximity from the edge of the lava to the top of that king. It means that you can
I
get
think
those
there's something to
vanguards in the
that.
firing positions.
Because I know for a fact that this geo here feels very scary when you play in this position. It is super exposed and it's very, very close to just about everything. It's usually mostly undefended. Whereas if you compare that to the geo here, even though it's in a similar sort of position in the wing, there is more of a barrier, more angles that you have to go through. It just seems to get destroyed less.
I think that one up there, because you have to go down a ramp up to it and then you can access it.
Yeah.
It takes much longer compared to the others.
Which is basically a straight
And that'd be the
shot.
same as the bottom. You have to get down the ramp, across no man's land, through the defended section, and then you can make your way over to them, rather than just down the ramp and you're there.
Look, I'm just going to say that there's some science behind it, and it's people being emotional. They just like their bottom left, they like their bottom right.
Yeah,
Does it look like APHIS is going to come down very shortly? The build power is just coming up to get that one going. Does look like a bit of a stall just coming from units getting stuck in the positions where we're trying to build things. APHIS coming down in the middle of the map. Not a lot of build power on this one though, so 2-minute build time. And we are getting metal at a greater rate than we are getting the buildings. There is no conversion in the middle though, so Grumpiness, you definitely do need at least one converter for this.
That will make a lot of metal for you.
But regardless of how it gets done, an APHIS well on track by the 7 to 8 minute mark. Plenty of power. There we go. That is the conversion coming down, and it does look like there is a few more build turrets being built as well. So this should all come down around about the 7-minute 30 mark, which will be right on time for that middle. And it does look like we're going to have some strong defenses over here. I kill you for fun. I am going to call you out on this one. Plus 337 metal is not, energy not enough. If you're going to go solar, make sure you get to about that 500 mark to build the fusion reactor. It will do you a faster fusion by far. But with the
He's probably just lost all the overflow from the middle as well.
that might actually be exactly what's happened. Also trying to build Usually I would say that building the T2 lab and the fusion is a bad call, but when you're not metal starved, I'm going to let that one slide as well. And these defensive positions are usually a bit of a scramble. You tend to feed as much as you can into the middle of the map whilst getting your fusion and your defenses. I particularly like four beamers, four beamers or twin guards, four pop-ups, T1s, two pop-ups T2s, and two rattlesnakes T2s or equivalent. Does tend to do a really nice investment. It is a lot of an investment. It's about 8,000 metal in investment. But then after that, you move into one of these positions near the middle and start going with APHIS, because you are going to need to make an effect to move around the map. Let's jump back down to our lovely co-op position. Over here, APHIS down, T2, oh my god. T3 rush, 9 minutes to go, and we're already building our catapults. That's going to be disgusting.
Catapults completed.
Catapults
is the
completed at 9
terrifying
minutes.
part.
And with plenty of comms to micro these, that's going to be a big problem for Classic. This is the sort of thing where if you know that there's going to be some super eco corners, I would actually consider persecutors from the get-go, just to try and keep them off of that middle section. But the truest way to deal with this is spam. If you can keep them from getting in range by just building a constant amount of ticks that stops them from actually moving into position, that's going to be your best bet. But I reckon the Kings are going to have a really hard time with this one,
That
because
looks like a good setup that we're seeing there.
yes. Yes, it is. And with 5 seconds to go, quick bandbox across the map. 253 units, almost all of them concentrated on this left half of the map. Looks like a big instant T1 push going straight into J-Frost. J-Frost does have defenses, but unless that comm gets right in the middle and gets some good D-guns, it's going to be a real rough shot here, because that is only a handful of twin guards. Unfortunately, the Rascals going in a little bit early, so they're going to be completely destroyed before anything actually happens. But now we've got the
just getting up in time.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Oh, the D guns.
Yeah, he's got the OP
D
tower
guns.
sitting there.
Oh, J Frost, the D guns. The units are in though. The units are in. Even with all of that, the units have managed to break in. J Frost doing a fantastic job of cleaning so much of that up. Com with 63 kills. But we do have pawns in the back destroying some of those fusions. Does look like they might almost get them. No,
stay and
what
kill
have you
whatever
done?
you're on. Don't run away.
Oh dear.
The units
I mean,
are
they were
dead.
being reclaimed, but that
Focus
was.
fire on one
But
thing.
While that's
Ooh.
happening, we do have the
Left
catapults
side.
firing up into the high ground.
Left side with spiders.
I told him.
Left side is
I told
spiders.
him. I told him. He just ignored me.
Unfortunately, spiders are one of the great killers in this game, so the bottom side of the map is going to be in big trouble. Thankfully, the APHIS were pulled back far enough that they are somewhat safe, but the base is now essentially super vulnerable. The metal income just isn't there, the build power isn't there. Players need to hand over T1 after T1 in order to try and get this one dealt with. Correct response out of the Kings to try and deal with the catapults firing onto the high ground, and really good positioning out of Classic to be as safe as you humanly can be from this one. Kings have not had any ability to push out right now. Economy 63% in favor of the peasants. That is to be expected because they're all still alive though. Yeah,
with the
Twig,
spiders?
what do you reckon the Kings are going to have to do to try and win this one from here? Because they've taken a lot of damage early, and there are some very, very strong eco positions outside of the map already.
I don't know, hearing that the catapults are already up, I don't know if there's going to be that much. But I don't think we've seen a throne win with more than like 50 players for a
We've definitely
time.
seen some big throne wins, some big
you
game
standing
throne
there,
wins, but
Talking
it
about
has
multitask.
it has been very difficult when the catapults start raising. Thankfully, plenty of beamers here repelling the Karganeths. Karganeths only managed to take down that one beamer, but they have given good vision for the catapults. One thing to bear in mind: catapult players attack the top of the cliff just there. This little spot right here, that little spot there, this one over here. a bunch of your missiles will fly over and punch in deep. You can see just how deep. That's actually that's well beyond the range of the actual catapult itself. You can abuse the good physics in this game. Does look like a circling of rovers, and Tihi Yanamari is
Enemy.
Yanami,
I think.
Yanami is getting back into the game. That build power is coming up. Unfortunately for them, it is a big slowdown. Kings with a nice little push outside of the base. Twig, Rascals and Rovers moving around, protecting. Rascals protecting the Banishers. Twig, how are you moving those units so they stay at speed with each other?
Hold down control, right click.
There you go. That
Simple as
prevents
that.
the units from breaking formation. So Twig will always have those Rascals in front, which is quite big when something like this happens. Those grunts in theory should actually have gotten in and done a lot of damage here, but at the end of the day, all they did was destroy the deceiver. T3 out for the Kings right now, and does it look like it is right in time to be needed just here. Making its way down to try and deal with these catapults. Unfortunately, one of the problems that the Kings are about to face is, instead of going mass units, a lot of the players around the outside have been continuing to scale with the units that are out. Small's gone from 1 to 3 APHIS, plenty of conversion to keep that one nice and powered, and the economy is now 128% in favor of the peasants. Without early damage done, the Kings do struggle on this map. And that's why we normally see bonuses of around about 75% if the game gets to 60 players. But Twig wanted a challenge, so he set it at 60.
I actually asked for more. Tom just wanted to make sure that we couldn't repeat what he managed to achieve last game. I'm sure of it.
Tank Tom wanting that victory. And I do not blame him. Winning on Throne is a pretty big deal these days. Now, unfortunately, Twig, you're just struggling to get damage done. You've got units, and you're doing well, but just struggling to get the damage actually onto the important targets.
Yep.
Holding no man's land protects your bases, but it doesn't necessarily do anything for stopping the peasants.
Scarf dodging some grumpiness missiles. These are ever so slightly missing the comm. It is taking a tiny bit of damage here and there goes the comm. That is a little bit of a safety margin. Unfortunately, it is going to be pounders into Shivas. Shivas definitely have the advantage in that fight, especially with the catapult back up. Big push according to the peasants. The peasants are going to try to break up here. Thankfully, catapults coming out of grumpiness to try and fight this one. Unfortunately, they are having to deal with some spam now, as well as the Shivas getting it in nice and messy. Really good base layout by Classic, I have to say. Has been absolutely as safe as can be possible in the situation that he's in. Would love to see, even though it's mostly catapult fire, would still love to see a shield just in case the team swaps to vanguards, because vanguards up that cliff would be devastating right now.
Fantastic reclaim on the top side with the Geo. Managed to reclaim it just before it exploded.
I mean, look, it is fantastic, but that also would have been a well-needed reprieve for the Kings, because the Kings are struggling. The Kings are definitely struggling here.
Yeah,
the T3 around the outside of the map is mostly dead. The pushes are not going anywhere quick. And the peasants, the outside of the map is starting to come online. Look at these big ecos around the map. Plenty of wind. Some of them going into multiple aphises at this point. As soon as that ticks online, the Kings are going to be in big trouble. I mean, look at the whole top half of the map. The peasants all around Twig are not attacking in any meaningful way.
No.
I do like Twig's Duffy's defensive battery. Just keeping this whole area completely covered in the rattlesnake fire. Walls beamers, trying to keep himself as safe as possible. Thankfully, he's not having to fight against the catapults that the bottom's having to deal with. But that push on the bottom is just continuing to heat up. The Shivas are doing a great job of pushing everything back. The catapults are getting chip damage in. They're having a little bit of trouble pushing forward because there are some heavy-ish defenses and catapults here to keep things at bay, but it is certainly a struggle for the Kings right now.
The Kings are doing a good job of getting vanguards up to be able to shell off the top of the hill. We'll be
Ooh,
able
I
to
do
see if
see
they
that.
can
That's
actually
quite nice.
mass those and support them such that they can make their way out. Those ticks are actually doing a great job of providing vision on that northern side there, so these vanguards can see what they're shooting at.
They are indeed. And that's the thing. Ticks, one of the weakest units in the game is also one of the strongest units in the game. Massing ticks is just absolutely crazy. Is crazy good. And hopefully we'll see. Hopefully this will be the push out point. There is enough vanguards here to do a lot of damage, and with the Razorbacks coming in front to deal with that spam, they should be able to push out reasonably safely. And with this corner mostly working on its eco, they will be able to get T3 units up. But look at where the build power is for it. Only
That's not going to be enough to stop them when this starts rolling around.
There's only 16 build turrets in range of that experimental gantry, and all the other production is T1 or T2 with minimal to no actual fighting power. So it's going to be up to the comms to defend this, and comms are not great at defending against vanguards. So this is going to be the push. And if another player can come
vision, that means that those commanders become much less effective.
One of the things that would be super effective in this situation is if another player could provide massive T1 support for this. Just 3 or 4 labs kicking out pawns to get in front of this one and just absolutely block the way, kill all the ticks. It doesn't matter if they take if damage is taken in big chunks by the vanguards. Just absolutely swarm this area so it can't be degunned, so it can't be overrun.
Loving this target fire with the vanguards. They've basically been giving a target to hit every single time something dies, rather than just moving or fighting. They're given the key targets that's in range every time that they've killed the last thing.
One of the things you'll notice, they're getting a target at the same time as moving. Twig, how is it that you do that?
What was that? Sorry, what was the question?
Units that continue to move but target a specific point while they do it.
Grid keys, S, and you can also undo that, with Control S.
So that is the ground fire, and it's incredibly useful for things like getting demons to pre-fire if you think there's a comm nearby, that sort of thing. And that's the first peasant base down. Nicely done by the vanguards, knowing that there was going to be a geo there and manual targeting it. The spam is coming from around the outside of the map, but the vanguards are on the march. They're protected by the Razorbacks. Unfortunately, though, massive push on the right-hand side. Tsar's doing damage. We do have plenty of Razorbacks to clean it up, but they're not spread out wide enough. It does look like EMPs have done a big chunk of change here. Hopefully that was EMPs done by something like a Thor or the or some bots being snuck in. I'm not seeing a EMP structure, so it should be done like that. Does look like it is going to hold, though. There is enough
Push on this
Razorback
bottom
fire.
side is putting on a whole lot of pressure.
They are
There's
indeed.
a Garganoth that managed to get up onto that wing and basically wiped out all those mexes, and that eco is under heavy fire.
And that's the first chunk of explosions going on there. The shields have been penetrated by the sheer volley of Vanguard fire, as well as the missiles out of the Shivas. The Shiva missile should not be underestimated in this. The Shiva is effectively your arbiter at this point in the game, able to punch shields and very cheap. If you just ran them up against the edge of the cliff and just manual fire up, you'll do a very good job, because there is nothing that stops those shields.
Razorbacks on the right side, moving around and taking out what they can. There was only 3 of them, but they've managed to wipe another base just by moving behind where the front line of all the peasant units were massing.
Oh, that was the EMP structure.
Was it used outside of the bases?
Yes,
Like on an army?
they watch behind is EMPing.
Oh yeah, I see that. What are they targeting? Good question. So those structures are more than welcome to be used on
Defensively.
armies and defensively, but they can't be used to do things like shell the base and disable the defenses for the kings. Anything in no man's land is fair
Alright.
game. Anything beyond that is no good.
Yes, watch behind has ignored that one, so let's just kick ban that one when the lobby stabilizes. Unfortunately, you cannot be doing that one. And if you do see those messages in chat, make sure that you do not, make sure that you put hold fire on and stop firing those. Because offensive structures are not allowed. The kings cannot avoid things like catalysts. They cannot avoid things like the EMPs. Those lanes are terrifying.
And it means that we can't balance these games, which is hard enough to do as it is anyway.
But they are, the reason they're left in is because they are incredibly potent defensive options. So, for example, one of the counters to the early catapults is catalysts or the EMP equivalent.
I feel like I should have realized that, but I've never thought to build them to stop. You can see the kings are fighting valiantly at this point, but they're definitely struggling to get out. The peasants are doing a great job of keeping all of that
they're
pressure
still
on.
firing.
Where are they going? Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah.
Just go a quick ban.
That is... Yeah.
Well, I already did. I already banned him. It's not Paulmont doing it. Paulmont's taking him and is getting rid of him.
Just control
Yep.
DM.
He's going to degun them, so
Cool.
that solves the problem.
Not that there's much that we can do to win this now.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. Once defenses get popped like that with the
Yeah.
pressure on them, there's nothing that can actually be done from the king's perspective to stop the push. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you take stuff, you shouldn't be firing it.
Oh dear. Anyway, very tough one for the kings with just how much eco the peasants were able to put down, and while they're doing a great job of holding with one wing down and with Aphis under very considerable threat, it is going to be a very hard spot for the kings to try to break out of. The one hope would be potentially a chain reaction somewhere, but with the way the defenses are going, that is not going to be easy.
My biggest problem this game has been just getting build power down and space to build.
So that's when you play one of these front wings, one of the best things you can do is support another player with T1, because you're very likely going to struggle to get a crazy economy or struggle to get just hit that.
Yeah. In those defensive positions, because you're going to have less overall economy just because you use space limitations, you can still be an absolute menace with that T1 supporting the T2 and T3 units coming out of the other players, and you can go around and find where the gaps are. building up those units, finding where those kind of lacking sections within the defenses might be, and punching through.
Yes.
It doesn't take too much damage to start popping economies once you can get to it, because converters basically operate like fuses for economy. Once you light the fuse, everything tends to go pop.
Yes, they do.
This behemoth on the bottom side is going to do a lot of work, because I can't see too much that's going to be there to stop that at this point.
Other than a D-gun. A D-gun is really what's needed there.
And there's no comms anywhere nearby.
Though the demons do actually do a lot of damage to it. It's just that the
Getting that
health
surround bonus is going to do a whole bunch, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough with just how much health that behemoth has.
Yeah.
It has stopped it though. It's no longer walking forwards. Ah, they're body blocking it, aren't they?
Potentially, but it is still gonna keep going. It is.
Yeah, there's only
definitely
so
gonna
much you
still
can
keep
do to
going.
stop the
Someone's
behemoth.
using the EMPs again on
Yep.
the left on the enemy's base.
Can we circle those?
It is Josh. You
Just do a kickbang.
Yep.
Don't worry about pausing the game though, it is over.
I think we like to leave some of those options on because they can be very useful.
As I said, that early catapult can be shut down by a single catalyst. But the unfortunate thing is that it's very hard to convey to everybody in the lobby that that structures are defensive.
Yes. It is in the rules.
But we know that people don't read the rules. It's one of the things that changed King of the Hill for the better in an insane way was the addition of the lava that drops at 10 minutes. We used to have rule breaks every game and 3 or 4 of them. And as soon as the lava was added, context clues, people were like, wait a minute, there's lava. Maybe I shouldn't attack before 10 minutes. It was
I like how Duffy's set up their base because it allows other people, like I Kill You for Fun, to actually get a bit of space for eco.
big risk though. Like any sort of catapulting in there would be devastating.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He has done a good job of maintaining a presence out on that middle tier, which gives you a fair bit of confidence as to holding that. But it's definitely not something you can start with. You kind of have to establish yourself, survive to that 15-minute mark, and then you can start filling it all in.
Yeah. So a lot of people in the comments saying if we can't enforce the rules, then disable them. The problem is that then realistically we would have to disable so many things, and it would make the game completely unviable. Where is the limit of what you disable and what you don't? So just as an example, this is the first game that we've had, I think full stop, that we've seen the EMP building be abused. And across an entire year's worth of gameplay, that's pretty good.
And like the likes of like the Persecutors, that's what I used to defend most of my base at the start of this one.
Yep.
If they were turned off, I wouldn't have been able to use them defensively. I reckon that's a Control D, I Kill You.
It's just one of those things where the game was not made to run King of the Hill. And it does rely on honor rules, which unfortunately people sometimes don't read, sometimes don't uphold. So unless we can get a tweak which prevents structures from taking damage from structures, I don't know how else we would fix that.
And with this many players, trying to keep an eye on everyone's base and exactly what they're doing is just unfeasible. You kind of have to respond rather than proactively do things.
We also, the three of us, do not have the power to remove structures in-game.
Yes.
Alright, let's jump over to Raptor Crater. And this time I'll pick the bonus, Tom.
And if at all possible, we might look at, if at all possible, Nightmare, could we potentially raid Twig's stream? Because I have not been overly well today, well, this evening. So I am struggling in this last little bit, and that'll give Twig and Tank Tom the opportunity to close out the last game.
That one off. Yeah, you grab.
Thank you very much for setting that one up.
You putting the code in? Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'm just
There we
grabbing all the
go.
goods.
So Twig and Tank Tom are it's gonna be from their perspectives. I'm assuming Twig, are you gonna be playing or casting?
I'll cast this one.
Excellent. So you're gonna have a similar sort of view as me, but unfortunately I have held on as long as I possibly can, which for Twig and Tank Tom, they probably get that more than anybody else because they know the context.
Let's not go into that. People jump down into team 2 if you want to be a king. There's going to be 9 kings on this one.
Just waiting to see whether those boxes fix themselves or whether
They
we have to
will.
manually change them.
Nah, this will be just a slow load. I wouldn't touch it.
What do we got? 46, which would be 50 odd. So we're looking at 50s?
Nah, a bit more than that.
60 something?
Oh, it depends who
There's
goes
only-
down the bottom. Let's just give it a
There's only
sec.
40 odd around the outside at the moment.
Yeah, we'll give it a sec. Once we've got our 9 kings. Actually, it looks like we do have. Here we go. Game's loaded.
Took a while.
Knowing that it will grow a little bit, let's just go to put a marker around the 60 mark. I don't mind what it is. And you can start applying it. No, Cicada hasn't been in yet. Mazza Potato to fridge. And Pormot.
In. It'd be great if I could enter a number for these. Slider gets rather awkward when you're trying to get to specific values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is our team. Team. Right, that's our king set. And we're looking for the rest of our numbers. Yeah, right.
All right, let's just bump the bonus up to 65. Yeah, 65.
Right, we'll start at the top. Be amazing if we could have a set or team 2 bonus. The same as you do with the AIs.
That would be nice. We can pretty much kick that one off.
That's fine. So the bonuses, there shouldn't be any extras. No, there's not. Let's get ringing.
A few people
Do we
complaining
want
about the bonus there. It's definitely not too high based on what we've seen in previous weeks.
Do you want the T2 build towers chain reacting as well?
Yes, for sure.
Let me grab that. Go. For those asking about zombies, we've tried it. It doesn't play well with this, and it just extends the games. And it doesn't really add anything to the experience other than frustration.
We have a new player down in Kings that has not been King before that I've not seen.
They are going back to 1 because that team is already set.
Okay. Take time with the Iron Fist.
We've done enough
64.
of these and spent enough time trying to get these started that at the moment it's just let's get the lobby running, so anyone that's not readied up is going to start getting spec'd so we can get rolling. We've had a couple of rings, so I'm going to start at the top.
I'm just going 70 and then kick it off.
While you do that, I'll clean up everyone else. Make sure we don't have any duplicates. It doesn't look like we do. So once you've done those bonuses, which you're just finishing up now,
Done.
we will be good to go.
Let's do it.
There we go.
Final game of the night from us. I'm sure there'll be an after party. We're going to raid 2 pumps, aka Grumpiness. But before you go, if you like King of the Kill, please hit that like or subscribe, depending what platform you're watching on. And I have to hit rejoin because I always forget that I have turned off auto join.
Yeah, I've turned off the auto join so that when we're doing some of the AI games, you can do the join as commands.
Yeah.
Because you can't use those once you've seen the map. First time I thought I'd broken something because I started the game. I was like, but why haven't I launched? What's going on? Yep.
Thanks for the follows, Maxi, Tiny Ball of Fluff, Bitstorm. Do appreciate it.
Now let me grab. Oops. Nope.
Oh, I've already copied, pasted. King is trying to sort themselves out. We've got Kakado taking that seat on the eco position. And please, people, do not use any structures to hit enemy eco. That means that closest mechs from the enemy in the current starting positions. So those ones on the outside of the king's rings, well, the ones that are the closest to the lavas. If you can hit those mexes with any offensive structures. Might take a 15-minute timeout. You in this one, Tom, or are you casting with me?
I am casting with you.
And we thank you all for joining these games. They are quite fun. I've been jumping into them a little bit more than I used to lately. Very enjoyable to get back in the games.
Yeah, it is good to play in some of these.
I don't know how Prey does it. If you talk the whole night, I just find like I'm buzzing. I'm laying in bed at 1, 2 a.m. Like I cannot fall asleep, and I've got work in 5 hours. I find I always go to bed quite hungry after these as well, because I'm too scared to like try and sneak past the baby and go to the fridge.
See, I don't have that problem. I can finish up and just go grab a snack.
Such was the life.
Assuming I've bought some. At the moment, there's not a whole lot.
I reckon this one can get a 4-star if any of the bossed individuals are in game. Feel free to kick that off. Duffy. Chrono if he's in there.
No, I think we can do it.
Battle started.
G'day everyone, welcome to King of the Hill. Back on Raptor Crater. Kings first up with a nice 70% bonus. That is going to mean that they're going to get a lot of eco out very quickly. We've got Kakado in the middle with 8 mexes that are going to fuel probably an Aphis before the 10-minute mark. I don't mind seeing one of those coming up, and shortly after the likes of Demons, given that he's gone Cortex. Might have just seen as well, he's gone straight into the lab before building any energy. That's because that 70% bonus gives you plus 51 energy from just having that commander. So what is this? King of the Hill? Kings in the middle got that bonus, and then there's a few rules. At the 10-minute mark, this lava will subside and all hell will break loose. There are no offensive structures allowed. That means that you cannot build, say, an agitator up here on the hill that can shoot down to this mechs, and likewise for the kings, building one over here, shooting up onto these mechs. But you can use them defensively. Same goes for any sort of missiles, Junos, EMP missiles. Shoot them at these ramps if you must, to stop spam or stop units coming in, but don't go genoing the enemy's bases. All right.
Defenses are for stopping units, not for shelling buildings.
That's it.
That's what we're looking for.
What we see usually around the edge of these maps is a bit of communism eco. It's not happening everywhere though. We do have it down the bottom left. I like to see it here. We're going to see probably a fusion or two come up by the 10-minute mark out of some of these players. Individual players taking these bases though. We've got a bit of more communism on the top right by the looks of things. The reason why it's good to get that commie eco going in these corners is at the 10-minute mark, you're going to expect a lot of these peasants are going to put a lot of pressure on the kings. But eventually with this bonus, the kings are, well, not even eventually, they're going to have T2 when they've got T1 coming at them. And then similarly, once peasants go up to T2, chances are the kings are on T3. So these 4 corners, I'd like to see those real greedy ecos happening, get those Aphis stacking up and going into T3, long range units, catapults, vanguards, and just send them in big numbers and then try and breach with the support of all these players. Another great way to win as peasants, which we've seen it a few times and it really does hurt, is build a lot of units. If every peasant built say 50 units, and rush them at the 10-minute marks, which we've seen once. We've seen probably about 2/3 of the peasants build units up. And I think it was like 800-900 units rushed all at that 10-minute mark. It was the shortest King of the Hill we ever had. It was about 12-13 minutes. Now, Tom, you're usually
They can well and truly overwhelm when they throw all the units at once.
Personally, I do prefer it the standard way where you don't have that happen. I like to see a bit of back and forth and someone trying to get in the lane. I will note that we do have the T2 construction turrets turned on, and there has been a modification with those where they have been made to chain react. What we saw previously was they would blow up. Maybe one would blow up, maybe two, but the rest of them would manage to heal the turrets around them. For that, you could see that chain reaction. Okay, Tom,
Yeah,
you're
I
going
meant that-
into sorry, you're usually a king on one of these lanes. What's your typical build?
You get up, all your mexes is your first priority. With enough energy to keep you going, you're looking for somewhere in the realm of 500 to 1,000 energy. Then you're going into your T2 lab, getting your T2 mexes up and running into, typically it's a fusion. It depends on where you're at. If you're at the point where you've got enough metal and you can get up, I think it's about 25 build turrets will do an APHIS within a minute, and that's using 130 metal a second, just as some ballpark numbers. So if you're in that sort of a realm, with these sort of bonuses, you should be able to get an APHIS up, but it's definitely a much more risky play. What we
like to go
typically
for the
see
fusion.
is fusion, get the T2 lab back up and running, start massing your units, get your defenses up. Ideally, you don't start building units or defenses until that first fusion is up and running, because that really gets your economy rolling. Once you've got that going, you can then afford to spend some of the metal on those defenses and things.
Yeah. Now we see Cabletron asking for T2 out of the middle. We don't recommend this in King of the Hill. With your bonus, you're actually better off building your own. Because one, you get the reclaim of the lab and it's not considered a cheat if you're just reclaiming the typical build order. And two, for the middle king to hand out that many T2 constructors, they're not going to get to the AFS stage of the game if they're spending so much time just leveling up those constructors, sending out those constructors. But anyway, we've got one here. Oh, that's another problem. I like to build 3 T2 constructors. I like to send one down each of these lanes and then leave the third one in the base and building AFS fusion, whatever.
Yeah, I tend to send the first couple out to tap your first max, send them on their way. The build power in your base, finish off those first couple. You've generally got a bunch of T1 builders. Give a few of those to your constructor. Once they've finished both of the mexes, you're typically about the time where you're finishing your fusion, and then you can start really getting those defenses up and running to hold those ramps. You'll never hold a ramp with the defenses, but you can slow the things down enough that whatever units you have behind them can clean up.
Talking about defending ramps, you don't want to build your defenses too early. What you want to do is kind of what Alri's done over here is build your construction turret, and then everything in the range of that construction turret. But you don't want to start it too early because you want all that eco metal going into eco, which, I mean, not a problem. 4,600 in the bank for them. But yeah, we see quite a few players just go into mass defenses. You want to be pushing out. So kind of my theory on King of the Hill and Bar in general is units are just mobile defenses. Don't mind what performance doing.
Largely.
Building our walls on these here. I wonder if we're going to see any mines. One thing I learned this week, I did not know this. I think it's the heavy mine. Or maybe all mines. I'm trying to find a mine so I can see what you can do. You can put them on hold fire, wait for something to stand over the top of it that's a juicy target, and then choose when to detonate them.
Interesting.
Saw an amazing reel on Glitters in the eco position. Sorry, in the not the eco position, the the canyon position, the person defending the canyon, just first unit they built, mine layer, sent it out into the where you'd expect the defensive line to be set out by the opponent, waited for the commander to stand on top of the mines, bang, bomb explosion. P tactic.
See, my problem would be that I'd forget to turn them back on again. Where are we at? 8 minutes. At this point, you're looking at trying to wrap up your eco and start getting those labs down to build those units. Because it takes a little while to get them massed. You ideally want to give yourself at least a minute of building for the Kings, T2 units. And we can see some of them have already got those units up and running.
They're just bandboxing. We've only got 100 units out right now, and some of them are for the Kings. So I don't see any lanes that are really under threat in either direction. How are the ecos going around the outside?
I expect the bottom left is in quite a good position.
Self-destructed.
We saw them only build a single T2 lab, and they've been working together nicely to get that economy up and running.
We have an
The rest
Aphis
of them
coming up. Wow, yeah, that's T3 lab. That's going to be dangerous for Potato. Shout out to Potato. First person to join our Discord ever after the three of us.
We've got 30 seconds left. We're seeing some interesting economy builds out of the Kings. Some of them are relatively light on with just the T1.
And we do have a pause. That means there is, I don't know, have I got a rule break?
No, I think it's just lag.
Unfortunately,
So
if you're
we'll
lagging
continue on our way.
people, we just gotta plow on through those lags. 15 seconds left. These units are starting to pour out of a lot of these players. We got Apes up for some of these Kings. Eco definitely still in the favour of the peasants by about 30%. I don't actually know who's got this. This is looking quite even with some of these eco
It depends
corners.
on who gets pushed where. Some of the defenses are relatively light on both sides. We're at the 10-minute mark, so we're going to see where we end up. We've got pushes on the bottom side and top right.
Gonna have a clash of units down here, unfortunately, for these peasants. These lanes quite well defended, but a big gap in the middle there and nothing to stop that. Yikes.
Great to see those ticks moving around those defenses and punching in deep.
Yeah.
Yes, a
good.
lot of them have been lost. However, if they can make it into the middle and find that build power or some conversion, they are going to do a whole lot of work.
Yeah, you can't have tunnel vision on your defenses. You gotta defend right up until here, or even just overlap. I know you're very good at defending other lanes, Tom. I remember a couple of these games where I've done just this here, what Maz has done and what Potato's done, and you've covered those spots. Those ticks sitting in there, no reaction.
Yeah, a couple of LLTs just on like the corners of your base in these sort of locations does a lot of work for cleaning up those handful of ticks that can make it past your defenses.
Yeah, yikes. I don't know if Picado knows that the T2
Those-
construction turrets are on.
Those ticks are still in the middle, and they would have been getting lots of vision and information about where everything is
Yeah,
for these players.
they're gonna go
Looking to
down
pop
now.
some T1 conversion. No, Yes.
One more shot.
no.
Yes. That's it. I mean, that's only about 30 metal income. Not the end of the world for poor Mike. Can build some T2s up there, but still very annoying. Do we have anyone pushing
Good
out?
push out on this left side here. It's only T1, but it's getting past those walls.
Far up
It
against
doesn't
some
look like it's going to
snipers.
be enough to push past the top of that ramp,
No, now
but
that
it is going to keep
Centurions are
those
there,
players busy for a while.
that will be shut down now that that's just all Centurions. I'd be pulling those back and just using them for potential run-throughs. But not to worry, plenty of eco there out of going into their first APHIS right now with 6,000 metal in the bank. How is centre going? We've got 4th APHIS about to come down. Let's compare that to the outside of the maps. Ooh. Over
They're
here.
in a relatively good position because no one's getting pushed particularly hard. It's probably not a bad idea to get a lab up soon just so that they've got something to respond with. Although they do have those, what are these? The Twitches up building fiends, so that will give them units that they can use to help support players. We're seeing top right is doing relatively well in that they're at least trying to push out. They haven't really made much ground at this stage. Where do we think the big push is going to come out from?
Well, I reckon it's actually up to Kakado at this stage to go into T3. Definitely has the eco for it. This is the point in the game where in a game that we saw earlier with you, the peasants had a real good push at the start, but the kings went heavily
They
into
managed
T3.
to get to the point where they were within firing range of my build power and conversion.
And you defended.
But we managed to clean them up. Yeah, it was close. But we managed to hold them off.
It was
continue
T3
to push out.
Yeah, well, you guys built T3, and that's what it was. You didn't go too much eco. You built right at the right time.
Greed is one of the biggest killers in this game. Building more eco doesn't necessarily win you games. Having enough eco to build the army is what'll win you these games.
Where is the spam coming out of these kings? We need a bit more. None of them are near their unit cap. 477 units per player. Well, here we go. We do have a push on the right. These snipers with a couple gunslingers are a close, but they are going to be up against some banishers. There are some overwatches as well, but these snipers should take good work.
Would be
You can
great
see
to see some T1 flowing through these to eat shots for things, because that would make this T2 significantly more offensive, significantly more beneficial if it's not tanking damage as well as trying to fire.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish someone would tell Kakado about the T2 construction turrets. Like his unit cap just being eaten up by the T1s. Well, nicely done out of ORAC going down to Potato's lane to help assist with defending from all these T1 units pushing in. We do have a lot of maces. Mace is quite bulky. You can see he's taking a couple hits out of each bull shot before going down. And bulls are powerful. That's saying something for the T1 unit there. But we do have some welders coming up.
We're not seeing units to be able to hold this off, are we?
No. So much greed. And even Kakado straight into Behemoth rather than in something else. I don't think Behemoth's the answer. I think your demons probably at this stage of the game. You don't need the biggest unit in the game because it's just going to get degunned.
Yeah, I would start with something like demons, or what else have they got? Catapults wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, units are what are needed right now. Potato going into lots of pork. You just need units, and honestly, Center players' role is to drop down a lab right now and send units this way.
Yeah, against T1, you just want more units rather than bigger units or more firepower. It looks like this is largely going to be held now that it's just the T1 flying. However, that is going to maintain pressure on these units. That Vanguard moving in is going to be a big threat if it can get shots off.
Yeah, we've still got units rushing through here. There's, yeah, LLTs need to be down. That is going to be
a big issue. Good to see those couple of LLTs going down to stop the continued push into the middle.
ORAT's the only one coming to the rescue right now, but that means they're not pushing their lanes anymore. With full overflow coming out of the middle, not building labs is actually really affecting the team here. You need to be spamming stuff out in every direction if you're that center eco position and you're spending that much metal. Sorry, making that much metal.
Yeah, the Kings largely have, well, they've got lots of energy. They need more conversion. And based on the fact that they're largely starting to fill up, this is where you need to start really transitioning across into more unit production, because this pressure down the bottom side isn't going to be letting up anytime soon.
No, and it just means the rest of the map is just yeah, building up. Here we go, finally demons coming out. They are the right answer right now, because there'll be so many of them that eventually commanders will be killed. They will get their D guns off, but they're not going to get that many off. Potato doing well just to still hold there, hasn't lost their main eco, needs to get build power out right now, needs to get labs up. Having no backline lab is probably hurting them. With 4,000 metal in the bank, drop down that T2 lab and just go into Fiends.
Great to see Orotab and Mazza swinging across to help hold this lane. Without their support, this would have essentially collapsed, made it into the middle, and then it's game over. In all of these situations, you can't afford to let your teammates fall. Yes, it would be great to push out, but you have to be alive to be able to deal the damage. So supporting each other and keeping those gaps closed is more important than being able to push out through your own lane. Once this is stabilized, there'll be an opportunity to then push again, but you need to make sure that you reinforce those gaps so that the peasants can't make their way in, because it only takes 1 or 2 units that make it in for huge swings in economy to occur.
I think this lane that they're trying to push out is probably not the right lane, because there are so many sharpshooters there. These demons are getting cleaned up faster than they're doing damage.
Yeah, ideally you'd leave the spam running through so that they're tanking all of the shots.
If I
Whilst
was...
it's great to have the demons shooting all the time, having the... Ooh, up the top, stealth units. That gremlin is doing work.
Yeah, that's another
Taking
player.
out a lot of conversion up there.
Oh, wow. Doesn't even get the D-gun off. Yikes. And we're going to possibly see some damage done to Rosie's base. There's not many turrets in here. I always like to spread a few turrets around my stuff. Try and get the reclaim here, but we're going to see a pop.
That is going to be devastating if they chain react.
Oh, no, it's
Good
not going to be the
response
chain
there.
reaction. Oh, I thought the catapult was going to...
In those situations where you're most likely going to lose the unit anyway, don't be scared to hug whatever you're trying to damage, because things like those catapult shots, when they fire at you, can do a fantastic job of wiping out their own economy and dealing that collateral damage.
Platinum Blonde has come online at the same time as Pormont, and they are pushing hard. There are enough Razorbacks here to clear out a corner, I reckon.
Great to see them working together down the same lane.
Yeah, I like having the
That mix of
gunslingers in
T1,
here as well.
T2 and T3 is going to do a fantastic job for clearing everything up, and it's enough units that yes, you'll run into comms, yes, they'll get off some D guns, but there's enough of a massive units that you'll kill a D gun's worth, and then they'll be dead before the second one can go.
Separate those Razorbacks though. Watch this commander. He's going to get at least 2 or 3. Maybe.
No.
Oh, didn't use it. Yikes.
And see, that's the benefit of having this sort of a composition where you've got more units, you've got more things to provide the vision, be the meat shield, and just be involved in general. And this is going to be enough that they're into that back corner now.
Yeah.
That T1 pushing forward to provide the vision, the Razorbacks clearing up, and the T2 swinging you down to start clearing out those bases from behind.
There's only one commander there. He's not invisible as well. They are putting out lab units now. Sharpshooter's not a bad option for these Razorbacks, but the spam's going to be a problem for them.
Would love to see these poke their head over the edge of the cliff here.
See what they can get.
Be amazed what you can see.
Yeah, I think
and when
Pormont's
these-
going to do that. There's a Razorback at the back there.
They're doing a good job of holding the bottom left side. They've stabilized enough that whilst there's pressure, it's not overwhelming
No.
anymore.
That commander did not go invisible, and now there is not much in between these Razorbacks and clearing out the top right corner, so this is quite good for the
No.
peasants. I think that's GG for
They
that.
no longer have the spam, but this corner isn't going to survive with that many Razorbacks once they swing across. I agree with clearing out everything that's up here first, It means you don't necessarily have to worry about coming back and dealing with things.
Oh
Would
no,
love-
they've completely ignored the corner. What is happening, Platinum Blonde?
They do have the T1 is going to push in there fairly
Okay.
solidly.
That
So
does
that
work well.
should provide them the vision of what's over there.
We do have a Titan down the bottom right that is going for some damage they have managed to clear out here. There's a couple commanders going
Lots
this
of
way.
commanders circling here.
It's a gangbang about to happen. There we go. Storm taking that one out and Bravo taking out that last ball. That's shut down, but there is an entrance that's now open and the Kings are coming online. The only problem though, the top left has been pushed back against and we have Shivas defending against some demons. So close to this ego here. So now there's full vision. We've got snipers that are almost in range, so close. Luckily though,
That
the
fat boy's
Kato
getting
is
real
there.
close as well. Whenever you end up in this situation as a peasant with units that are most likely going to die, if you can probably get in range to get a shot off before you're dead, take the chance.
Yeah.
If you can chain react things, it will do a huge amount to buy you time to come back with another push. If you pull out, your units will die and it was all for naught.
In the case of Potato here, is back in it now. Starting to build these long range units, like they're good, but there is just so much defending this corner. I think I'd just be going
don't
down with ORATs and go
necessarily-
try and get down this ramp and just forget about this area here. There's so much here.
One of the things is because the pressure's coming, you need to make sure that it can't break through there, because there's enough T1 units flowing through. I don't necessarily disagree with providing the ranged fire support over the top.
What I am
Because the
liking
win
though, the
condition
counter push.
is
The Shivas
hold
going
this
out.
left side, whilst the rest of the top side is basically broken, and those units are starting to wrap around. So as long as they can hold this bottom left long enough, then the Kings should be able to win this.
Yeah. King's now ahead on Eco, so it was looking like the peasants had an advantage for probably the 10 to 20 minute mark, but now it's looking the other way. The circle for the first time this game has no more peasants from a couple of slow mammoths. They don't count though, they'll take 6 years to get to the middle. Top left, these Shivas that were used offensively to stop all those snipers coming in have just been sent on a march command up to the top, and they've managed to clear the better part of these two entrances and meeting up with Platinum Blondes, 1,000,000 Razorbacks.
Yeah, that Razorback army is enough to clear most things that they're coming across.
Just would love to see them separated a bit. Deckmaster here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 Razorbacks dead. That is an efficient commander.
Some solid losses, but there is still enough coming with that T1 fire support that they will get into that corner and pop things.
Yeah, maybe these snipers, as long as the demon keeps shooting all these this spam and the snipers target the Razorbacks. Actually, there's more and more coming.
Nice to see that split so they can get around to that economy, which would hit the. Would love to see him hit the build power. Once the build power goes down, that base essentially is nullified.
And that's it. That's just an overflowing eco now. But the APHIS break off one Razorback. And watch. I wonder. Yeah, the Razorbacks just all die. I mean, there's plenty more where that came from, but yeah, could have saved a few.
Yeah, as the Kings, you kind of get to the point where you go, oh, there's more coming, keep throwing. Fight commands are your friend.
Galileo is going for the massive eco in the background right now. I do like that. Not building too many. Oh no, building a behemoth at the same time. Take the back. I was about to say, not building too much. That will take away from the eco, but quite the opposite of that. We got a Thor on the right. We've got a ton of vanguards and a couple marauders as well with some radar. This could spell doom with these vanguards because they're going to outrange all the starlights. As long as we get some spam through here.
Looks like the spam is coming in the form of T2, which at this stage they can probably afford.
Yeah, I'm liking this composition.
Using
But
that
Razorbacks.
Thor to EMP the bubble is hugely effective.
Think, oh, these Razorbacks just for that split second didn't have a command, and that's kept the Vanguards just outside their range, and they're going to get another couple volleys up, and that means none of these are going to go down. Especially with the snipers
And
coming through there.
putting on that pressure to pull them away from the ramp means that this T1 mass that's just been flooding is likely to get to the top and push on through.
Pulsars just do work, but it is tricky. You need to pick your targets. Obviously, without manual fire on, they're going to waste their
that
shots on a lot
collateral.
of...
Those shells are hitting their own units just as much as they're hitting the Kings.
Oh, that's the... Which one's those?
I'm gonna say the Vanguards. Because I can't
Vanguards
see
are
anything
that.
else that would be firing.
Yeah. Just the one Thor now. It's a slow march with these 3 more Thors coming out the top. The Pulsar is doing a lot of damage
bottom
though.
left side, we can see that those units have started wrapping around, and they are well and truly making their way into the bases.
Oh, unfortunately with the Thor's lightning, that commander not getting into position for any D guns. Okay, we'll check out the bottom left quickly. Shivas. That's a lot of Shivas. I don't think that the peasants are going to come back from this one.
No, that is a large mass of units that have made their way in there.
We do have a behemoth out from Jaleo, but I mean, there's behemoths
I
on
don't
both
think
teams
E
now.
Behemoth is going to be able to hold off this tide.
Another commander going down. We're 5 commanders versus 10. Which way do we look? Look left, look right, look top right. The demons finally cleaning up that top of the map. That's going to be all she wrote for the third to last eco center. Rosie cleaning that up nicely with the demons. My favorite unit for King of the Hill games. A single Kagi trying to push unsuccessfully into this middle ramp. I think just sweeping around from the edges is the name of the game right now for these guys. Do have 2 more coming up over here. Interesting places for decoy fusion reactors. That's right. OP walls. I love that. Huge D guns out of REO, but that's going to be another commander that goes down.
When you have this much T3 to throw at the problem, you can just throw it at the problem and not be too concerned about your losses. Yes, you will lose a lot of things. However, you'll only lose that front layer of units. And once you've killed the comms, they can't then kill the next layer. So as long as you can keep that pressure on, you will make it through.
Yeah, the top right now, we've got a beeline of a bunch of T1, 2 and 3 into the bottom right corners eco. There's a couple Titans in there too. And do we see any commanders? There are no more commanders in this section
not
here.
we can see.
Homer's the closest, and they're currently preoccupied. So we're going to be seeing that first APHIS, and that's going to be a quick pop very shortly. Very nicely done.
Big boom.
Pormont really has King of the
Left side
Hill
going down as well.
tactics all sorted, doing a lot of damage in every one of these games, and we're going to see that. Yeah, it's a race really. Who's dead first? I think top left, the bottom left is done for. A couple Titans defending there, but there's just too many Shivas. They're going to just go straight for the eco. I do like that the APHIS for this player here, Rody, in the bottom right corner, so there's no chance of peeking over these edges here and getting APHIS popping in that corner. Have to really walk all the way down there, and that's as good as dead for this corner here. There are no more big eco centers. There's a few APHIS here out of Blitzco, but this Juggernaut is just trying to get there. 6%, 5%. Takes out some of the build power. If only there was a bit of a follow-up there. There's not much to defend. These 3 pulsars, did they really manage to work that juggernaut all the way down? Down to the last few columns. 2 of them are down here in the bottom. One hiding up top right, where Rosie's demons have just walked away from. Vasco sneaking that commander back into that back line. Fur's commander walking in here trying to get some D guns, but these gunslingers will be enough to take that out, as well as the marauder. Just a few more units in between the inevitable doom and this last eco. What could have peasants done differently on this one, Tom? Apart from a big rush at the start.
The thing is, the peasants need to be able to put pressure on the kings. Like, the bottom left did a great job of keeping them contained, and it made multiple lanes have to deal with the problem. Whereas on the like, the rest of the lanes didn't pressure hugely. There was some good gaps bottom right that if they'd been pressed, they likely would have made it in. And if that had been the case where bottom left and right had both pushed, then Mazza wouldn't have necessarily been able to hold both of those off at the same time. And that's the key thing that the peasants have to do, is put consistent pressure across the map down into that middle section.
Alright, top right, Basco sitting below that cliff. Has a sneaky Pete there. Maybe we can get a control D Basco, or everyone just set everything to the top right. Not in the corner, just below the first cliff. And the ecos are actually leveling out right now with a big control D in the middle.
The kings have definitely decided they have enough to finish this off.
There we go. We've got the marauders there. Oh, so even defenses. He doesn't want to call it quits. Oh no, where is Pormont going? Pormont was literally killing the commander, and he's just walked away from it.
I think they're just looking for anything that they can find at this point.
There we go.
That's going to be the game there.
Nicely done, Kings. Good to see a Kings victory out of the middle. And we don't see them as much these days. 50 plus, actually it was 60 plus peasants, I think. Got to check that at the start. Poor Merc Kakato doing a lot of damage, but the graphs will show a little bit more of an illustration of how this game went. And you can see some real big damages done out of most of the Kings. A couple peasants really hitting the Kings hard at the start. I think that one might be Galio's line. Getting that
Problem
D3
is
out
there's
quick.
only 1 or 2 peasant lines. Ideally, we'd like to see a whole range of them
Yeah.
in that 10 to 12 minute mark.
This spot here, we quite often see in the peasant victories a lot of blue down there, and they're the ones that the peasants always win. So probably not enough pressure out of every lane. We only saw a few lanes really being pushed hard, but that's all right because that one was enjoyable, and we hope to see you guys in more in the future. Make sure you guys like and subscribe.
Thanks for joining.
Okie dokie, that is King of the Hill for the first weekend of November. We're going to set up a raid over to 2 Pumps, and I'll put the after party message on the lobby.
For those in the chat, thanks for those comments about the quality of stuff. We do try and make it work, but it can be a little bit hit and miss with some of the movement around the map being a little bit chunky. We do try to get it to play nice, but there's only kind of so much when we end up in these large games. There's only so much resource available for certain things, and it seems to be that the compression is a bit hit and miss when you zoom in and out.
Yeah, a few comments there in Twitch about the quality. Not too sure what happened there tonight. Sorry, guys.
And for those that have asked whether we can do it in a higher quality, Twig plays in 1080p, so that's kind of the ballpark that we're working in.
Alright, we'll get that raid happening. Alright guys, stick around to check out Grumpiness's after party. Thanks for joining myself, Tom, and Prey.
We'll catch you all next time.